Chapter 756. Xia Qian secretly sighed. Now that she had a man, the treatment, was it that much higher? But she didn't want to get off work. Qin Fian was a liar. He said he wouldn't touch her after they got married, but now she was wearing a turtleneck sweater every day, sitting in Qin Fian's car. Xia Qian didn't like to talk much. Yo, how did you suddenly change from a chatterbox to a scholar who believes silence is golden? Qin Fian laughed as he drove. The car was heading towards the Qin residence. Even though he had a place to stay outside, he had arranged for Xia Qian to stay in the old residence. Old Master Qin lived in the old residence. He realized that no matter who it was, they would give Old Master Qin some face. Just by standing there, the younger generation naturally had to be respectful. Xia Qian dared to argue with him, but she seemed to respect Old Master Qin, which meant that she wasn't too stupid. Also, Fei Yu lived in the old residence. Fei Yu was obedient and sensible. She kept calling her sister-in-law, which made Xia Qian blush. No matter how much she disliked him, she liked Fei Yu a lot. This thing was meant to attack one's heart. Anyway, he couldn't let go of her soft spot. Why do you care? Xia Qian replied coldly. You don't want me to care about you. Qin Fian pushed the frame of his glasses up his nose and smirked. Xia Qian was speechless. Who would want to try it with him? I'm going to pick up Fei Yu on the way. You and Fei Yu can have dinner at home. I have a social engagement tonight. When Xia Qian heard that Qin Fian wasn't going to eat with her, she immediately smiled. Okay. Qin Fian's face darkened. You're so happy that I'm not eating at home? Xia Qian didn't dare to be rash in front of Qin Fian now. She could only mutter, I feel uncomfortable with you sitting beside me. Qin Fian huffed angrily. Humph. He snorted. When they picked up Fei Yu was carrying a big bouquet of roses. Many of her classmates looked at her enviously. The car started again. Xia Qian turned around and said to Fei Yu, Xiao Yu, did the handsome guy give this to you? Classmate. Fei Yu was very generous. He said that he wanted to thank me for my help. Originally, he wanted to give me perfume lilies or carnations because I was his tutor. But when he went to the flower shop in the morning, they were all sold out. He could only buy roses and said that he would compensate me next time. No way, it can't be an excuse, right? He won't. He's a very honest classmate. Fei Yu was still smiling gently. Qin Fian heard Xia Qian and Fei Yu talking so enthusiastically that he couldn't get a word in edgewise. He was a little annoyed. Why didn't Xia Qian have so much to say to him? Even going to bed with him was like forcing her to death. Until the last moment when she couldn't resist anymore, she had to keep resisting. How depressing. Qin Fian sent Fei Yu and Xia Qian back to the old mansion before driving off. He had to go see Shen Kai. When Fei Yu saw Feng Sheng, she smiled at him. Feng Sheng smiled back at her, but the smile only lasted for a moment before Feng Sheng turned away with a gloomy face. After the meal, Fei Yu carried the flowers back to his residence. As soon as she entered, Feng Sheng followed her in and closed the door. Fei Yu turned around and looked at Feng Sheng with an extremely unfamiliar expression. Feng Sheng? She put the flowers on the table. Feng Sheng glared at her, picked up the flowers on the table and threw them on the floor. Fei Yu was shocked. Feng Sheng. What are you doing? Feng Sheng bent down and picked up the bouquet, handing it to Fei Yu. Fei Yu didn't understand and took it. She hugged it and was about to put it on the table when Feng Sheng slapped the back of Fei Yu's hand. He snatched the bouquet and threw it on the floor. Fei Yu was stunned. The back of her hand hurt from the slap. What was wrong with him today? What are you doing? Fei Yu was also a little angry. She had grown up in this house and no one had ever hit her before. How could Feng Sheng do that? Her eyes reddened and glistened with tears. Feng Sheng sighed and picked up the flowers again. He handed them to Fei Yu with a guilty expression. Fei Yu hesitated for a moment before taking them. This time, Fengxing not only slapped Fei Yu's hand, but also threw the flowers on the floor and stomped on them. Fengxing. That's enough. Fengxing picked up a decent rose and handed it to Fei Yu. In a fit of anger, Fei Yu slapped him on the floor. What was he doing? Fengxing's handsome face broke into a beautiful smile. He turned and left the room. Fei Yu thought about how she had been slapped by Fengxing and felt terrible. She lay on the table and couldn't help but cry. The door was pushed open again. Fengxing held a small branch of red plum blossoms in his hand. The weather was warmer this year and the plum blossoms in the house didn't bloom particularly well. But in Fengxing's fair hand, a small branch of plum blossoms only had 7 or 8 small flowers, but it looked exceptionally lush. Fengxing smiled and nudged Fei Yu, who was lying on the floor. He handed the branch of plum blossoms to Fei Yu. Fei Yu raised her head and looked at Fengxing with tears in her eyes. The smile on Fengxing's face froze. He squatted down in front of Fei Yu and reached out to wipe her tears. He then handed the flowers to her and lifted his chin. Is it for me? Fei Yu's voice was nasal. Fengxing nodded. Am I the only one allowed to accept flowers from you? Fengxing exhaled, his smile still on his lips. Then, he stretched his neck forward and his lips fell on the corner of Fei Yu's eyes. After he drew back, he nodded at Fei Yu. Fei Yu froze. The branch of plum blossoms in her hand was still cold. The fragrance of the plum blossoms was right at the tip of her nose. She sniffed. Fengxing, you like me, don't you? The boy answered her by nodding over and over again. Fei Yu smiled through her tears. That flower was given to me by one of my students who needed tutoring. It's not what you think. Fei Yu stood up and pulled Fengxing up as well. She stood on her tiptoes and wrapped her arms around the boy's neck. She jumped up with laughter. Fengxing, I also like you. I also like you. I don't want other people's flowers anymore. I only want the flowers that Fengxing gives me, okay? Okay? His innocent age and tender kiss was both a test and a desire. Fei Yu dodged, her face burning hot. Then, she stood on her tiptoes again and welcomed the boy's nervous and tender kiss, his fair and slender fingers threaded through the girl's hair. Fei Yu said, Fengxing, you can hear me. I really hope that one day, you can also tell me that you like me. When Qin Rongfang pushed open the door to Fei Yu's room, his face was ashen. He had lived for decades and he had never been so angry even when Qin Fian said he was gay. His granddaughter. He had once boasted in front of Ouyang Xing that his granddaughter was so innocent and sensible. Now, she was hiding in her own room with a servant. The two of them rolled onto the sofa. If old Wu had not told him that Fengxing was a little strange, he would not have come to care about Fei Yu. Fei Yu and Fengxing both got up from the sofa and stood up. Fei Yu was so scared that she trembled. She quickly hid Fengxing behind her like a chicken. She knew that it was over. The last time she did not allow Fengxing to be sent away, she had exchanged her life for it. This time, she knew that it was useless. It was unknown whether she could protect Fengxing or not. Grandpa, someone, send this Fengxing to the police station. Fei Yu saw 4 or 5 servants entering the room and walking towards them. She was so scared that she hugged Fengxing tightly. She was afraid that Fengxing would leave and that he would be sent to the police station. She shouted loudly, Grandpa. It has nothing to do with Fengxing. It has nothing to do with him. It's me. I seduced him, Grandpa. The servants tried to pull the two apart, but Fei Yu kept shouting that she was the one who seduced Fengxing. Pia. A slap, hard. It was Qin Rongfang's withered hand that slapped her. The servants had already separated Fengxing and Fei Yu. When he saw Fei Yu being slapped, Fengxing's eyes reddened. He struggled to break free from the people who were holding him down and shouted, Ah! Ah! Lock Miss in the backyard. Old Wu, call the school immediately and ask for leave. Fei Yu will not be going to school in the future. We will hire a tutor and she will attend during the college entrance exam. Yes, master. Uncle Wu did not dare to make a sound and quickly agreed. Grandpa, where are you sending Feng Sheng? Grandpa, don't send him away. Fei Yu's face was still burning in pain. She was very weak and could not resist at all. She could only cry and beg Qin Rongfang, Grandpa, don't send him away, everyone, disperse. If anyone says anything about what happened tonight, don't blame me for being rude. Qin Rongfang turned and walked away. The servants behind him quickly followed. When Qin Fian returned to the Qin family, he was called to the study by Qin Rongfang and told him what happened that night. Qin Fian drank his coffee. Grandpa, I've thought about this. It would happen sooner or later. It's impossible to send him to the police station. You can only comfort Fei Yu and send Feng Sheng to the police station. Won't you regret what you've done to her? Humph. What do you know at such a young age? Qin Fian could not accept what he had seen that night. Fei Yu's room was very big. It was different from the others' rooms. The others' rooms were decorated in a Chinese style. Only Fei Yu's room was decorated in a European style. It was pink and white everywhere. These colors were just like Fei Yu's, pure. But he saw her and Feng Sheng hugging each other and lying on the European-style sofa. She was only 17 years old. When he thought of this, his heart bled. Grandpa, I'm going to tell Fei Yu now to send Feng Sheng to Jiang District to study. And I won't lie to her. Anyway, she can either send him to the police station and let the Qin family decide on the charges, or send him to the elite school in Jiang District and let her decide. If she doesn't listen, then there's no need to choose. Just send him to the police station. What do you think? Go do it, go do it. I have to take some medicine to lower my blood pressure. Right now I feel very dizzy and in pain. Qin Rongfang waved his hand. When Jiang Zhao returned home, he saw Xiaoya chatting with Yi Er. He also saw a very high-end cloth bag on the tea machine. Inside was a rectangular box. It must be a gift. He had always been sensitive to such things. When Yi Er saw him coming over, she quickly waved at him and said, "Ah, Zhao, come and sit for a while." I told Sister Xiaoya, but she didn't believe me. Jiang Zhao greeted Xiaoya first, then said to Yi Er, "What?" She didn't believe what? Yi Er took Xiaoya's hand and said, "Xiaoya, if you don't believe me, ask Jiang Zhao. Am I afraid of catching a cold? Every time I sleep in the middle of the night, I have to snuggle into his arms. Otherwise, my hands and feet will easily freeze. People say that pregnant women have more internal heat. I think it's because I've been releasing some internal heat. It's too serious. I'm a little cold now." Jiang Zhao tried to decipher the meaning behind Yi Er's words. He thought that things might not be so simple, so he smiled at Xiaoya and said, "What's wrong with Xiaoya? Do you have some experience to discuss with Yi Er? She's like that. She catches a cold easily." Xiaoya was a little troubled. Zhuang Yichen said that he wanted to give this jade pillow to Yi Er, but she didn't want to accept it. What was going on? When did Yi Er's body become cold? Or did Zhuang Yichen and Jiang Zhao's relationship fall apart? Yi Er pulled the cloth bag on the tea machine and placed it on Xiaoya's lap. "Sister Xiaoya, the next time you come, just come and sit anywhere you want. You don't have to bring gifts. It's such a waste to give me this jade pillow. I don't know how to sleep and I'm afraid of the cold. But let me tell you, I found that you have a set of clothes that looks especially good. It's the new spring collection that you just released. When my baby is born, you can make a set of parent-child clothes for me." Jiang Zhao finally understood Yi Er's intentions. He thought that this girl had matured quite a bit. The jade pillow that Zhuang Yichen gave her was probably worth a lot of money. His dealings with Zhuang Yichen had never involved gifts. All the benefits they talked about were related to business. Yi Er had really grown up. After being framed by Jingling, she was much more careful now. Jiang Zhao smiled and said, "I don't have a share in the parent-child set." You can't just make it for them and not me, right? Xiaoya, you can't be so stingy. At most, I'll just give you a few thousand yuan as a token. Xiaoya laughed heartily. You guys are really something. It's just a few pieces of parent-child clothing. But I've never made children's clothing before. Tell me which piece you like next time. I'll find a designer to make a new version of children's clothing for you. Welfare, Xinwu 799. Chapter 757. Xiaoya carried the jade pillow home. Zhuang Yichen was in his home clothes. He had just ended a call and saw that she was covered in dirt. He walked over and wrapped his arms around her, asking in a low voice, "What's wrong?" "My wife?" Yi didn't want it. Xiaoya wasn't stupid. Yi didn't refuse it because she was afraid of the cold, but because she didn't dare to accept it. They often exchanged gifts, and this feeling was really uncomfortable. "Zhuang Yichen, how much is this jade pillow worth?" Zhuang Yichen took the bag containing the rectangular sandalwood box and casually placed it on the ground. He kissed Xiaoya on the cheek and said casually, "It's only 24 million. Oh my god. Xiaoya trembled. She was scared to death. She quickly pushed Zhuang Yichen away and picked up the bag on the ground. She hugged it in her arms and ran upstairs to find a place to put it away. When she went downstairs again, Xiaoya raised her fist and punched Zhuang Yichen's chest. "What's wrong with you? How can you just throw something that's worth 24 million? Is that even jade? Do you think it's a stainless steel bowl?" Zhuang Yichen heard Xiaoya's words and laughed out loud. The value of anything lies in its use. If you buy it at a higher price, it won't be worth anything. It's just a piece of rock. He held her little fist and pulled her into his arms. He didn't seem to blame her for not doing things well. "What's wrong? Are you in a bad mood? Yichen, are you in trouble? Is Jiang Zhao unwilling to help you now? I've given Yi many things in the past. Why is she unwilling to accept this today? Is it because she won't accept it, so you can't do things well? It's normal that she won't accept it. Has Jiang Zhao gone back?" "Yeah, he went back. He came back after chatting for a while. Don't worry about it. Don't think too much about it. By the way, shouldn't you prepare for what we talked about in the car today?" "Hey." Xiaoya glared at him anxiously. She was still worried about him, but he kept thinking about those things. "Hey, what? Didn't we agree that if you do well tonight, I'll give you a grand wedding in half a month's time? Don't you want it?" How could Xiaoya not want it? Even if she saw him flirting with Xian Man, she still wanted it. "I'm going to take a shower." "Aren't you going to take a shower?" Zhuang Yichen leaned against the screen next to him, crossed his arms, raised his eyebrows, and chuckled. "I've already showered. I'm just waiting for my wife to surprise me." Xiaoya had been with Zhuang Yichen for 4 years. When she was bathing, she thought that even if he had never let her take the lead, he still knew how to take the initiative. It was really strange. After getting the marriage certificate, could she occupy the position that he had always occupied? Did it mean that her status would be elevated? Compared to Yi and Xian, her marriage didn't have the blessings of her husband's family, so it was a little strange. But as long as he was willing to marry her, it was fine. Many women in Haiqing fantasized about Zhuang Yichen, but Zhuang Yichen had already promised to marry her, didn't he? Who cared about Xian Man or Enchanting? Xiaoya finished bathing and got dressed. She put on her sexy pajamas and walked out of the bathroom. She realized that Zhuang Yichen wasn't in the bedroom. "Zhuang Yichen." She shouted a few times and then shouted at the top of her lungs. "Downstairs." Zhuang Yichen's voice came from downstairs. Oh my god. He wasn't going to bed. Was he in bed? What was he doing downstairs? Xiaoya's purple nightgown was as thin as a cicada's wing. In the past, she used to sleep alone and had never worn something like this. It was uncomfortable. After moving to 9th Mansion, she didn't have the chance to wear it. Usually, she would be raped by a wild wolf before she could even leave the bathroom after taking a shower. It wasn't easy for her to take the initiative today. She couldn't miss such an opportunity. Xiaoya's figure was petite compared to Zhuang Yichen's, but it was well proportioned. It wasn't too good, but she was good at dressing up. She always used clothes to make her body look curvy. She knew that her breasts weren't big, so she still wore a black lace bra that was half a bust size. It was a set with her underwear. The pajamas had a V-neck with silk edges, and the tip of the collar just happened to reach the cleavage squeezed out by the bra. Xiaoya slowly walked down the stairs with her chin raised. Her short hair was straight to her ears, and her neck was bare. She was beautiful and slender, and every step she took made her flirtatious. But when she went downstairs, she realized a very strange fact. That man was still standing there, not moving. Even when he saw her dressed so sexily walking towards him, he still didn't move. Shouldn't he pounce on her like before? But look at the way he was standing. He was wearing home clothes and leaning lazily against the screen. He even looked like a hooligan with his arms crossed and tiptoed. The smile on his face was like a gangster who wanted to tease a girl, but he didn't pounce on her. Xiaoya lowered her head to check her outfit. She thought that if she looked at herself in the mirror, she would have a nosebleed. But did this man swallow all the nosebleed into his stomach? Why are you standing there? Come and hug me, Zhuang Yichen raised his eyebrows and said to Xiaoya in a seemingly serious manner. Pfft. Xiaoya was caught off guard. What? She wanted to hug him? Wasn't she going to seduce him? How do I hug you? Xiaoya stood at the top of the stairs and looked at Zhuang Yichen, who was standing at the other end of the living room. Hug me like how I usually hug you. Zhuang Yichen gave Xiaoya, you don't even know this? Expression. Xiaoya thought to herself, hug him horizontally? Hug him around his waist? Then why did she have to make her outfit so rippling? She could have just worn Ultraman's armor. And she had to hug him like how he usually hugged her? This was too difficult. If she hugged him from the door all the way upstairs, then forget it. Even if she forced her intestines out, she wouldn't be able to carry him. This wedding probably wouldn't be possible. I'm sleepy. Xiaoya turned around and went upstairs. Zhuang Yichen, who was leaning against the fixed screen, was feeling smug. At this moment, he almost lost his balance. Little demon Xiao. I'm sleepy. It's fine as long as we have the marriage certificate. I don't want the wedding. Without the wedding, I'm still Mrs. Zhuang. What's there to be afraid of? Xiaoya wasn't a lady from a wealthy family. Her personality had always been very carefree. She would pretend to be elegant when she was outside. However, she seemed to have forgotten that she had been raped because she said the word F***ck in front of Zhuang Yichen. So when she said, what's there to be afraid of? At this time, she had only taken a few steps when a strong force pressed her against the solid wooden staircase from behind and flipped her over. Ah! Xiaoya was in so much pain that she frowned. The corner of the stairs behind her was hurting her back. Zhuang Yichen didn't have any tender feelings for the fairer sex. He pressed against her body and smiled lightly. How dare you reject the gift I said I would give you? Your demands are so high. It's obvious that you don't want to give it to me. I already said that I won't give it to you. I'm Mrs. Zhuang now. What's there to be afraid of? Xiaoya frowned and snorted. If this man had the slightest bit of sincerity, he wouldn't make things difficult for her like this. He didn't think about his height and his strong muscles. If he put them on the scale, the needle would definitely spin very fast. Yi Er had the ability to carry Jiang Zhao, so she had the ability to carry Zhuang Yichen. Although Jiang Zhao and Zhuang Yichen were about the same height, she was smaller than Yi Er. She didn't believe that she had the ability to ask Yi Er to carry Jiang Zhao. Humph. Stinky thing, you're swearing again. Zhuang Yichen frowned, but he laughed. Is this the first day you know? Who asked a young master from the upper class like you to not know how to say it? F***ck. Then you're a madam from the upper class now. That's right. This madam is going to sleep. If you don't carry me upstairs, you can sleep on the stairs. Are you trying to murder me? Zhuang Yichen laughed and lowered his head to kiss Xiaoya's chest. So rough. I like it. Master. Xiaoya wanted to run away. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to fight on the stairs? No, no. Her back hurt too much. Even if you like it, don't do it here. If you do it on the stairs, it won't be very harmonious. Although Zhuang Yichen agreed, he dragged Xiaoya down roughly. He dragged her directly to the big flat steps in front of the stairs. There was a whole wool carpet on top of it. Then it's not on the stairs. I already said that you'll do it today. Are you still going to deny it? I can't carry you. You haven't even carried me before and you're already saying that you can't carry me. You're too irresponsible to give up on something that you haven't even tried. Zhuang Yichen's fingers tightened. Xiaoya was in so much pain that she screamed, "Ah! You're crazy!" He snorted. This is your punishment. You don't have perseverance and willpower when doing things. You give up so easily. As Madame Zhuang, don't you think that your resistance is a little too weak? My resistance is already very strong. Strong? Zhuang Yichen flipped the woman over and Xiaoya landed on his body. He smiled faintly. Show me how strong you are. Xiaoya was stunned. This change of posture was really fast. This was not bad. As long as he didn't want her to carry him upstairs, everything was fine. Zhuang Yichen smiled faintly as he watched the woman kiss and tease him slowly. The process was too torturous. He wanted her to do something, but it was really inefficient. Thus, he ended her slow and teasing work when he was dissatisfied. They rolled together on the carpet. Zhuang Yichen's breathing became more and more rapid. He was already dissatisfied with the movement of Xiaoya's waist. But just as he was about to exert force, the doorbell rang. He wanted to ignore it and at least let him out. Who knew that the doorbell was not satisfied with just ringing, and the knocking on the door became louder and louder. God! No one in the 9th mansion would knock on the door like this unless the house was on fire. Xiaoya's face was also red. She hugged Zhuang Yichen tightly and called out his name in a low voice. Zhuang Yichen's lungs were about to explode. He picked the woman up and wanted to give her a few more forceful kisses. The doorbell rang and the sharp voice of Mrs. Chiu sounded. Daughter, son-in-law. Open the door for us. Are you asleep? Ad Hongcha 866. Chapter 758. The lights are still on. Hurry up and open the door for Mom and Dad. Zhuang Yichen gritted his teeth and almost cursed out loud. Xiaoya was so anxious that her legs were about to buckle. This was a splash of cold water. It would take more than a minute or two to achieve the same effect. When they opened the door, Mr. and Mrs. Chiu were beaming with joy. Xiaoya and Zhuang Yichen were both wearing matching pajamas. They looked unsatisfied and called out with a smile, Dad, Mom. Uncle, Auntie. Mr. and Mrs. Chiu were stunned. They looked at Zhuang Yichen and asked, Aren't you already married? Why aren't you changing the way you address us? Zhuang Yichen realized that he had to address his parents-in-law as Mom and Dad. Sometimes, he wasn't used to it. When he spoke, he was a little stiff. Dad, Mom. Mr. and Mrs. Chiu didn't mind. It's fine. Let's go in. In the living room, Xiaoya made tea for Mr. and Mrs. Chiu. Zhuang Yichen did not listen to a single word that Father and Mother Chiu said. He kept regretting that he should not have dawdled downstairs for so long. If Xiaoya had returned, he would have eaten her up. When his parents-in-law arrived, they had already finished. But who would have thought that they would still come at such a late hour? Yichen, Mrs. Chiu called out again. Zhuang Yichen snapped out of his daze. Ah. Mom. Although Mrs. Chiu was a little plump, she always had a smile on her face. Her skin was very fair and she wore a high-quality pearl necklace that Xiaoya had bought for her. She looked like a rich lady after living a good life for so many years. "Yichen, when is your wedding?" Xiaoya thought to herself, "Don't ask. If we don't have sex tonight, the wedding will be over." "Mom, the wedding is in half a month. I'll let Uncle Li pick a date. It doesn't have to be a holiday, just an auspicious date. Uncle Li believes in this." Zhuang Yichen listened to Li Yong in this aspect. Even if it was just a suggestion, he would listen to it. When Mama Chiu heard this, she shook her head. "Aya, how can we do that? What if it's not a holiday? What if you and Boss Chiu's friends don't have a holiday? Then, we won't be able to collect as many monetary gifts." No. Even if we can't get enough money, we still have to take 2 days off." Mr. Chiu was a man of few words, but he agreed with Mrs. Chiu. Xiaoya thought that this was indeed a problem. Zhuang Yichen was puzzled. Were there any of his friends who dared to evade the gift money? Those who had been invited shouldn't care about the double day. However, in order to show his respect for his mother-in-law, Zhuang Yichen could only nod his head. In the end, they decided to meet on the weekend half a month later. Zhuang Yichen's mother had a lot of things to take note of during a wedding, but Zhuang Yichen had been waiting for them to leave. In the end, Mama Chiu suggested that they stay over for the night. Zhuang Yichen broke down. Zhuang Yichen said that he was going upstairs to get something. Then, he went upstairs and called Xiaoya to ask her to come up. The moment Xiaoya entered the bedroom, she was picked up by a wild wolf. The wolf's claws tore her underwear. Without saying anything, he lifted her leg and pushed his burning desire in. He gritted his teeth and said, "Ah, God, little demon Chiu, I'm going crazy because of your parents. What are they doing here in the middle of the night? What are you doing? Can't you wait?" Zhuang Yichen pumped quickly and panted as he said, "I'm dying of thirst. I'm waiting for them to leave, but they still want to sleep here. They'll be staying downstairs later. Now, I can only do you while they're in the living room. Otherwise, I'll have a psychological barrier when I'm on you upstairs if they're staying downstairs." At this moment, Zhuang Yichen couldn't care less about harmony. He only wanted to flush out the lava in his body. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to sit still. His goal was so simple. When Xiaoya was about to reach the peak, Zhuang Yichen only cared about himself. It ended hastily. Although she was a little depressed, she didn't have to hold it in anymore. However, Xiaoya held it in. In the past, Xiaoya wanted to live with her parents after they got married. That way, she would be very happy. Now that she thought about it, if Zhuang Yichen had a psychological barrier every day, then her husband's day of adultery was not far away. That night, Papa Chiu and Mama Chiu stayed downstairs. Zhuang Yichen hugged Xiaoya several times and was very impulsive. However, just as he was about to squeeze into her body, he stopped. He was afraid that the movements on the bed would be too loud, or that he and Xiaoya would make some noise that the people downstairs would hear. If it was someone else, it would be fine. It was the same for Yannian. However, it was an elder. He felt very awkward. He was thinking, no wonder Yunyi only found out that she was pregnant during the wedding. Previously, Yun Hongwei stayed at Jiang Zhao's house. Was it the same for Jiang Zhao and Yunyi? Were they unable to do anything when they slept on the bed? If they couldn't do anything, how could they get pregnant? Zhuang Yichen felt that he wasn't young anymore. He knew that Xiaoya had been taking birth control pills. Since they were going to get married, then he should have a child with Xiaoya after getting rid of Zhuang Yifeng. However, if his parents-in-law stayed downstairs every day, he probably couldn't have a child. This made Zhuang Yichen very angry. Fortunately, the next morning, Papa Chiu and Mama Chiu prepared breakfast. After eating with them, they went back. Before they went back, they told them to take good care of themselves. If they didn't understand anything about the wedding, remember to call and ask. Zhuang Yichen's heart relaxed. Did calling mean that they didn't have to meet face to face? He finally revealed a rare flattering smile. Dad, Mom, we will take good care of ourselves. You should take care of yourselves too. If there's anything you don't understand, we will call and ask. Zhuang Yichen didn't tell anyone about the wedding in half a month. He also told Xiaoya not to announce it to the public for the time being. However, Mama Qiu was a person who loved to show off. She told people she knew that her daughter was going to marry the famous Zhuang Yichen, making them envious. After Xia Qian heard about it, she told Qin Fian. Qin Fian told Jiang Zhao about it. Jiang Zhao told Yi Er about it while chatting. Yi Er called Xiaoya to congratulate her. Soon, the news spread everywhere. Zhuang Yichen didn't have time to care about it. The problem with the third phase of the shoreline property was a dispute between the property owners and the property management company. The property management fee per square meter for a large residential area with a few thousand households was 130 yuan to 160 yuan compared to a high-end residential area. After many years, the property owners complained incessantly. In the contract, the property management fee was specified as the amount. The third phase of the property was sold at a low price and quickly sold out. However, the property owners couldn't accept the high property management fee after moving in. The real boss of the property management company was Zhuang Yifeng. Zhuang Yifeng used his connections with the government to suppress the bloodshed. At that time, Jiang Zhao had given Zhuang Yichen an idea to let Zhuang Yichen's people move into the third phase of the house and join the owners' committee. Otherwise, they would not know much about the inside story. As expected, the property owners' committee didn't discuss anything other than the property management fee. The property owners' committee had requested to change the property management company many times, but they were all suppressed by Zhuang Yifeng's people. Zhuang Yichen and Jiang Zhao wanted to work together to remove Zhuang Yifeng's power. However, they had to offend a group of political figures. In addition to the banks, there was also the Planning Bureau, the Urban Construction Bureau, and so on. During this period of time, they didn't have time to set up a trap. Zhuang Yichen was urging them to solve it as soon as possible. Jiang Zhao felt a headache coming on. For half a month, Zhuang Yichen and Jiang Zhao stayed up late almost every day. Jiang Zhao especially had to sleep with Yi Er every day. Then, he would video call Zhuang Yichen about the third phase of the shoreline property. Xiaoya would try on the wedding dress she made every day. She dreamed of being a beautiful bride. Zhuang Yichen was a person who couldn't tolerate sand in his eyes. He arranged for people to follow Xiaoya. It was impossible for Kang Yiyun to get close to her. However, Zhuang Yichen never mentioned a word about how to deal with Kang Yiyun in front of Xiaoya. The news of Zhuang Yichen's woman was already shocking. What's more, there were tabloid newspapers that started to research Xiaoya. They listed her transformation from Cinderella to a rich career woman. Some people speculated that her fame had a lot to do with Zhuang Yichen. Many people started to edit the photos and videos of Qiu Xiaoya's fashion shows. It wasn't hard to find that even though different women appeared around Zhuang Yichen, there was always a man sitting in the VIP seat at Qiu Xiaoya's fashion shows. That man was Zhuang Yichen. Xian Man looked at the newspapers. Her eyes were empty as if her soul had been sucked out of her body. Xian Man looked at the reports about Zhuang Yichen. She ignored the man who was slowly walking down the stairs. When she was shackled into a strong embrace, she was so scared that her whole body trembled. What's wrong? Are you jealous? You must be dreaming that one day, he will come and take you back from me, right? Xian Man, have you miscalculated? Look at these reports. Qiu Xiaoya suddenly became famous in the past few years because of Zhuang Yichen. Are you still dreaming? Don't you know that the man in your heart is already entangled with that woman? Zhuang Yichen is going to marry Qiu Xiaoya. Do you know that? Have you given up? Xian Man didn't listen to a single word. She just stumbled out of the villa and started the car. In order to show that he got his marriage certificate earlier than Zhuang Yichen, Qin Fian insisted that the wedding be held earlier. Qin Rongfang didn't agree. He thought it was ridiculous. How could they change the date that was set from the beginning? However, Qin Fian said, now that Qian Qian is pregnant, what if she faints and vomits like sister-in-law during the wedding? What should we do? Qin Rongfang was so happy that he almost had a heart attack. After he calmed down, he urged the servants to make new wedding invitations. He called one by one to reschedule the wedding date. Qin Fian got married before Zhuang Yichen. With the title of Young Madam of the Qin family, Xia Qian's career suddenly became smooth sailing. The TV station deliberately arranged for her to host programs with famous hosts. With the special title of Young Madam of the Qin family, even the famous hosts were very polite to her. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 759. Xia Qian finally ushered in a turning point in her life. She suddenly felt as if every page of her almanac had begun to write, today is an auspicious day. Everything goes well. She still couldn't remember the past. She couldn't remember that she had once promised to marry someone when she was 12, nor could she remember that she had lost her biological parents the following year. But every time she ate the orange fruit candy Qin Fian gave her, she would crunch it with her teeth and then smile as she sucked in the sweetness in her mouth. She couldn't describe the taste, but she felt that it was especially delicious. It was a taste that drilled into her taste buds and slowly overflowed into her nerve endings. It was a distant yet familiar taste. Qin Fian pulled Xia Qian to see his sugar factory. He stood in the small factory, put his arm around her shoulder, and told her, Qian Qian, since you like it, I'll let this factory run for the rest of its life. It'll only make candy for you. At that time, Xia Qian took the initiative to fall into Qin Fian's arms for the first time. When her face was pressed against his chest, she was moved by Qin Fian for the first time and shed tears for the first time. She told him that those were the most beautiful words she had ever heard in her life. She said, Qin Fian, those words should be words of love, right? For the first time, Qin Fian felt that Xia Qian wasn't stupid. He cupped her face and planted a kiss. Qian Qian, do you believe that I love you now? Yes. Is it because of this sugar factory? It should be. He smiled. This girl actually thought that he loved her because of candy. Qian Qian, actually, we are deeply in love, but fate isn't shallow. You might understand one day. Don't always doubt me. You should believe that I love you, and believe that every word I say is sincere. When Xia Qian was dreaming, her mind was filled with those words. She suddenly sat up in bed when the night fell and dawn arrived. She tilted her head and looked at Qin Fian. His beautiful face was so beautiful. If you and I are not deeply in love, why can't we talk about it? She lowered her head and whispered into Qin Fian's ear, Fian, I love you. Qin Fian's hand was pulled by someone, and the world spun around him. Qin Fian rushed over and howled anxiously, you bastard. Do you have to wait for me to fall asleep before you tell me? If I really fall asleep, you're not going to tell me? Xia Qian's literary cells were beaten to a pulp. She started punching and kicking. Qin Fian. You pervert. Do you want to fight? Yes. You scoundrel. How dare you scold me? I'm an artistic young woman. Li Yong was very against Zhuang Yichen's wedding being held on the weekend. He had taken care of Zhuang Yichen since he was a child, so he was a bit old. When he got older, he was very superstitious. How could Chinese people only choose the holidays and not the almanac when they got married? But Xiaoye and Xiaoye's parents didn't seem to be very keen on this. They were fine as long as they could receive more red packets during the holidays. Li Yong had never been angry with Zhuang Yichen before. But because of this, he didn't take the initiative to speak to him for 3 days. Zhuang Yichen had deep feelings for Li Yong. With his unique excessive respect, he squatted in front of the stool Li Yong was sitting on and placed his hand on Li Yong's leg. Uncle Li, I know that this matter has made you unhappy, but my father-in-law and mother-in-law have only married their daughter once. You know that Xiaoya has always loved money. When I told her that she wouldn't accept gifts, she argued with me for the whole night because of this. Why don't we just let her be this time? You told me before that Xiaoya doesn't cause any trouble. She has been with me all these years and hasn't made any excessive demands. She was the one who proposed the marriage, so let's do as she wants. Li Yong took a deep breath and shook his head. Yichen, it's not that Uncle Li is stubborn, but that day isn't suitable for marriage at all. As he spoke, tears suddenly flashed in his eyes. That's the only wish I have in my life. You, don't be so tired. Marriage is a big thing. The Zhuang family has let you and your mother down. When Miss married into the Zhuang family, I heard from the old man that the wedding date wasn't chosen. Think about what kind of life Miss had after she married into the Zhuang family. Young master, just listen to Uncle Li this time, okay? Uncle Li, I'm not a jerk like Zhuang Jingren. It's different. In the end, Li Yong could only sigh and agree to Zhuang Yichen's request. Xiaoya happily drew blueprints every day. For the wedding, other than the wedding ring, the wedding dress, and the gown, Zhuang Yichen left everything else to others. She continued working as usual. Every time a guest came to the door, she would always reveal a sincere smile that hadn't been seen in years. Everyone praised her. Mrs. Zhuang has become much prettier recently. The wedding is approaching, and I'm in a good mood. Discount, discount. Xiaoya's smile wasn't exaggerated, but her heart was fluttering. Every time someone called her Mrs. Zhuang, she felt as if she was about to fly into the sky. One had to know that her clothes were all custom-made, and there had never been a discount. Even when a bride came to order a gown, if she was familiar with it, she would directly give it to her for free when she was in a good mood. Zhuang Yichen generously entered Xiaoya's studio and was surrounded by a group of wealthy madams. Young Master Zhuang, you're getting more and more handsome. Zhuang Yichen rarely showed his emotions in public. At this time, he glanced at Xiaoya, who was taking measurements for the guests in the gown area, and smiled. All of a sudden, many women who had secretly fantasized about him were overjoyed. They were dizzy and disoriented, and they kept praising Miss Chiu for her good fortune. When Xiaoya noticed this, she hurried over. Zhuang Yichen was usually extremely cold. He would either glare coldly at people and turn to leave without giving them any face, or just like now, standing in the middle and being polite without saying anything to people. He wanted to get away, but he didn't know how to get away from the group of women in a polite way that didn't offend them. It seemed like he really went back in time. Xiaoya hooked her arm around Zhuang Yichen's arm. After greeting the group of madams, she pulled him upstairs. Why are you here? Zhuang Yichen finally relaxed and let out a sigh of relief. In the past, when he came in through the back door, he really didn't have to worry about this at all. He casually picked up a piece of fabric and looked at it. It was hard to imagine how Xiaoya could turn it into a beautiful gown. I'm here. If I don't come over, are you going to get into debt? What debt? Xiaoya poured herself a glass of water and gulped it down. Zhuang Yichen naturally took the glass in her hand and gulped down a mouthful of water. He was very thirsty. I heard that you've been giving out a lot of gowns recently. Oh my God. Dear, you even care about this? How much does it cost me to give out some clothes? How can I get into debt? You're a person who values money as much as your life. How can you be willing to give out clothes at a discount? Is there something wrong with your brain? The rumors are spreading like wildfire now. You're now the goddess of wealth. A gown usually costs at least tens of thousands. How can you be willing to give it away? Xiaoya pursed her lips. She obviously didn't want to talk about this anymore. With a face full of regret, she said, Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. I regret it every night. But when I come here in the morning, when people praise me and wish me well, I can't help but promise to give them things. After giving them away, I regret it. When you say this, my intestines are green with regret. Zhuang Yichen put down the glass. Looking at her expression, he really didn't want to talk about it anymore. He hugged her in his arms. Okay, give it away. If you're in debt, I'll help you pay it back. For some reason, his eyes caught a glimpse of her work table. There was a bottle of something in the drawer below. He frowned. Don't take that medicine anymore. When your body is well, we can be like Jiang Zhao and have a baby. Xiaoya was delighted. Really? Really? You can't have a baby even if you stop taking the medicine. You have to use protection in the middle. Are you willing? What's there to be willing about? It's what I should do. You can buy it for me tonight. You know best. His breath scattered on her lips. Her heart palpitated and she kissed him back. When she let go of him, she choked and said, "Ichen, I've finally finished my long-distance run, haven't I?" "Yes, you've reached the finish line." He continued to entwine his tongue with hers. Xiaoya thought that these few years hadn't been wasted. Her youth hadn't been wasted. In the end, she was luckier than others. How many women in the world could become official after being an underground prostitute? Even if there were, they were very few. But now, she was also one of those few people. She once thought that she was unlucky. Thinking about it, she was really lucky. If she hadn't boldly sat on him back then, if she hadn't given up on herself, how could the current Zhuang Yichen be her husband? Xiaoya was the seductive Xiaoya. That period of inexperience had long passed. She was already used to her current self. 4 years ago, when she moved her waist and sat in his arms, hooked her arms around his neck, and invited him to drink. At that time, she was the seductive Qiu Xiaoya. She had already forgotten what a gaze as clear as water should look like. She only knew that he seemed to like that look of hers a lot. She felt that he liked that kind of seductive Qiu Xiaoya. Thus, she allowed herself to translate the seductive look even more deeply into the wood. Although they were rarely together, and when they were together, they were in bed. But every time he gritted his teeth and breathed out the 3 words, "Little Demon Xiao," on her body, she was extremely happy. Her legs were always able to wrap around his body like vines. At the backstage of the press conference, he hid from the crowd and blocked her, pressing her against the wall. "You know that you're going to be on the runway today, yet you're still wearing such a short skirt." She hooked her legs around his waist. "Isn't it just to make it easier for you to take it off at night?" He flipped her over and pinned her against the wall. He easily lifted her skirt and hugged her from behind. He used all his strength to push against her nerves. At this moment, he lifted her skirt again. But after a passionate kiss, he stopped and endured with difficulty. "Little demon, remember to buy it tonight." "Okay." Xiaoya's face was flushed red, and her eyes were watery. She was full of desire. Come and see, Hongcha 866. Chapter 760. I shouldn't have kissed you at a time like this, you vixen. Zhuang Yichen thought bitterly. This woman was born to seduce men. It was just a kiss, and she wrapped her legs around him. Didn't she know that her skirt was so short? She could have pressed her legs against his if she raised them. This crazy woman. What a bitch. He thought about how he had just told her not to take medicine. If he wanted to have a child, it had to be a healthy one. If it wasn't for this, he would have done it with her on the workbench like last time. Zhuang Yichen finally put down Xiaoya's legs. After Xiaoya calmed down, she giggled. "Look at you." Zhuang Yichen said coldly, "Little vixen Xiao, you're very proud of yourself." "Huh, this is the first time I've seen you restrain yourself like this." "How can I not be proud?" Xiaoya said as she tugged at the corner of her skirt. She lifted her butt and sat on the workbench with her legs crossed. She supported herself with one hand on the workbench and the other hand caressed her leg as she chuckled. "Looks like you won't stop until you let me have sex with you here today." Zhuang Yichen clearly saw Xiaoya's seductive gaze. From the age of 21 to 25, she had practiced this gaze more and more. It was as if there was a delicate hand in her eyes, reaching out with her index finger and hooking him. When Xiaoya was pressed down this time, she thought that Zhuang Yichen would be able to hold it in. However, he had already rushed in and said in a low and rough voice, "I'll get you outside. You're not allowed to take medicine." You have to give birth to a healthy son in the future. How do you know that I'm not giving birth to a daughter? If I don't give birth to a son, who will inherit my family business? She panted and said angrily, you value boys over girls. Yes, give birth to a son for me. After Zhuang Yichen left, a woman came to Xiaoya's shop. She asked Miss Chiu to design a dress for her. It was Exian Man. Even though Exian Man had put on makeup, tied up her hair, and dressed very tastefully, her eyes couldn't hide from Xiaoya, who had seen countless people. In Xiaoya's eyes, Exian Man was incomparably haggard. Miss Chiu, let's talk. Exian Man went straight upstairs. Oh. Are you talking about my husband? Xiaoya stood in the same place, stretched her arms, and stood there leisurely, asking with a smile. Xiaoya was not Yi Er. She was old and had experienced a lot. She was not as calm as she appeared on the surface, but she was strong on the inside. She was jealous, but she didn't panic. In her eyes, Exian Man was nothing. She knew Zhuang Yichen well. He was a clean freak. How could he be interested in a woman who had slept with someone else? She didn't believe that Exian Man didn't have sex after marrying Zhuang Yichen. Zhuang Yichen was a person who couldn't tolerate sand in his eyes. The reason why she had lived a peaceful life for the past few years was because she had never accepted any man's love. She only found out about this later. Zhuang Yichen must have sent someone to follow her. Otherwise, with his clean freak personality, she really didn't know what the consequences would be if she messed around outside. Even when she went to a nightclub to look for a prostitute, he chopped her up before she even slept with him. Moreover, they had already broken up at that time. He would never allow himself to share a woman with another man. Fortunately, she had been clean all these years. Was that why Zhuang Yichen saw her in a different light? She looked at Exian Man's figure walking upstairs and smiled with a hint of mockery. Miss Exian is so generous. You don't care about trifles. Xiaoya misunderstood that Miss Exian is a well-mannered person from a wealthy family. Xiaoya hated Zhuang Yichen to death. Why did he have to take the surname Zhuang? She didn't want to call Exian Man Mrs. Zhuang at all. Exian Man's footsteps froze. She turned back to look at Xiaoya. She was mocking her. I don't think it's convenient to talk downstairs. If you want to talk about my husband, you can do it here. During this period of time, the guests who come and go always want to talk about him. I talk about him once a day. It's not a secret. Xiaoya's indifferent and calm manner made Exian Man feel disgusted. Miss Chiu, are you afraid to talk to me? Talk about what? Talk about whether you have slept together before? How many times did you do it in a night? Or what did he give you before? What promise did he make? Xiaoya burst into laughter. She deliberately laughed like a prostitute. Please, from the first day I slept with him, I knew that he wasn't a virgin. When he slept with me, I knew how many times he could do it in a night. Apart from this physical body, everything else I have now was given to me by him. He has given me so many things that I can't even count them. Last week, he promised me to get a marriage certificate. The next day, he went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. He promised me that we would get married in half a month. Oh, next week. Why do I still want to hear about your romantic history? Is it more exciting than mine? Exian Man looked at Xiaoya's arrogant reply and suddenly lost her sense of propriety. She turned around and stopped going upstairs. Instead, she walked to Xiaoya's side. Her hand holding her handbag was trembling. She gritted her teeth and said, "How can he like a woman like you? You're like a prostitute." Me? How can I be a prostitute? Xiaoya stretched out her index finger and pointed at the bridge of her nose. She glanced at Exian Man indifferently and turned her head. There were many large mirrors in her shop. If a customer came out in a gown and stood in the middle, they could see the reflection in all directions. At this time, she walked to the wall and looked at herself in the mirror. She raised her chin and stroked her hair. There was a hickey on her collarbone. She touched it and rubbed it. She thought to herself, that guy is really immoral. It's as if he's afraid that people don't know that I was slept with by a man in the shop today. Xian Man also noticed that Xiaoya was touching the hickey. She thought that if she kept helping Zhuang Yichen, he would marry her when Zhuang Yichen fell. However, Zhuang Yichen was about to marry another woman. She never knew that Zhuang Yichen had another woman. He actually hid Xiaoya so well. She was jealous. Aren't you? You said it yourself. Apart from this physical body, everything else you have was given to you by him. Everything you obtained was from selling. Xiaoya turned around again. She leaned against the wall mirror. Today, she was wearing a dark purple one-piece dress. It was made of an elastic material that hugged her body, revealing her slender neck and exquisite collarbone. There was a sparkling diamond necklace that Zhuang Yichen had put on for her before he left. The black stockings on her legs made her legs look slender and sexy. No matter how cold the wind was outside, it had nothing to do with her. She usually exercised in the room. When she went out, she only needed to put on a coat. She only needed to walk a short distance before she could drive. There was air conditioning in the car. When she reached home, there was also air conditioning. Even in winter, she was wearing spring and autumn bareback shoes, inlaid with luxurious rhinestones. She lifted her feet backward and pressed them against the mirror. Her arms were spread out on the mirror. This was an unconcealed movement, as if she was showing off herself. Xiaoya's confidence came from the cracks of her bones. She had many years of experience on the runway. It could be said that for all these years, except for Zhuang Yichen, she looked up to others. She looked down at everyone else on the runway. Who was Xian Man? Old Qing. She even had an old Qing. Seeing Xiaoya displaying herself like this, Xian Man got even angrier. You slutty vixen. Xiaoya laughed. Xiao Man, she pretended to be intimate and called her. Don't talk nonsense. My husband loves me like this. He likes it when I pester him like a little vixen. You don't know this, do you? Xian Man breathed heavily. He once said that he would not have other women. He also said that he would not think about those romantic things before he took revenge. However, how could the Zhuang Yichen that came out of Xiaoya's mouth be like this? He was like a man who was addicted to sensual pleasures. He was definitely not the man she knew. Xiaoya looked at Xian Man, who was so angry that she could not stop laughing. She patted her hand under her collarbone as if she needed to calm down. She smiled enchantingly. Besides, although everything I have is given by my husband, it can't be considered as a slut. Look at me now. I'm so rich. Even if I don't marry him, I can't be compared to you rich madams. I'm rich. What's the saying again? Wealth can't be slutty. Have you heard of this saying before? Xian Man did not expect that she would be speechless by Xiaoya without saying anything. How could Zhuang Yichen like such a woman? It was impossible. Zhuang Yichen liked women like Mother Zhuang. They were quiet and intelligent. Xiaoya was a gold digger. Zhuang Yichen hated such a woman. How could he marry her? There must be a conspiracy. There must be. She should support him unconditionally. Hadn't she always done so? She had always helped him. She was the one who had always helped him. What was this Xiaoya? She could not ruin any of his plans. She would not be a woman who got in his way. She looked at Xiaoya and finally exhaled. She smiled faintly as if she had already won. I'm looking forward to the day when he abandons you. This was the most powerful and confident sentence Xian Man had said before she left. Her confidence shocked Xiaoya for a moment. She suddenly realized that she had been kept in the dark about something. When Zhuang Yichen returned to the company, he contacted Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao had collected information about the people in charge of the banks involved in the third phase of the shoreline project, the people in charge of the planning and approval department, as well as the background of these people. He looked through them one by one and made notes on which were steamed buns, which were stones, which were iron, and which were steel. He used markers of different colors to mark them according to their level. Some could be eaten directly, some had to be smashed, and the harder ones had to be smelted. Hello. He picked up the phone and did not forget about the work at hand. Brother Zhao, is the information ready? Zhuang Yichen sat at his desk and played with a small square gift box in his hand. There was a diamond brooch in the box. He liked to buy this kind of thing recently. In the past, he never needed to give her a gift. Now that they were together in public, it seemed that he had not given her enough. Awesome novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 761. Yichen, I don't think it's going to be easy. This matter involves the Public Security Department. As you know, the Public Security Department has always been a difficult place to deal with. On the surface, it looks like a bank loan and a property management company inducing them to raise property management fees. But every time something happens, it's the higher-ups from the Public Security Department who handle it. I think we have to change the situation at the Public Security Department this time in order to get rid of him successfully. Zhuang Yichen thought for a moment and placed the box in his hand on the office table. Zhuang Yifeng definitely has more than just a mafia background. Otherwise, with so many nightclubs in High City, why hasn't anyone investigated him? Let's not talk about this for now. We've already wasted so much time. I want to know when we can make a move. Before your wedding. In the next few days. Jiang Zhao didn't want to drag this matter on. After all, some conditions had already been agreed upon. Logically speaking, he owed Zhuang Yichen a favor. If this dragged on, when Yi Er gave birth to the baby, he would have a hard time dealing with this matter. He didn't want that to happen. Zhuang Yichen nodded. All right then. Send me a copy of the information from the Public Security Department. I'll set the trap. Don't get involved. This was the rule between them. Zhuang Yichen always did the dirty work. Okay, I'll send it to your mailbox after I'm done reading it. That night, Xia Qian went to 9th Mansion and imparted her experience to Xiaoya on what to look out for during the wedding. Xiaoya couldn't be bothered to listen. The things that her younger sister said weren't reliable at all. In the past, she would listen to everything her younger sister said. But now, after marrying Qin Fian, she became a teacher. From time to time, she would glance at the entrance. Zhuang Yichen hadn't returned yet. The closer they got to the wedding, the more uneasy Xiaoya felt. She asked Xia Qian, were you nervous when you had the wedding? No. Why? Because I was forced to get married without knowing anything. Then, the wedding wasn't discussed with me. I still hosted my show and didn't care about anything. Xiaoya hugged a pillow and curled up on the sofa. I didn't care about anything, but why was I nervous? Xia Qian thought for a moment. Because you wanted to marry Zhuang Yichen, but I didn't want to marry Qin Fian at the time. Xiaoya finally felt that her younger sister wasn't acting like an idiot anymore. She was actually able to say such philosophical words. Qian, you really are a smart doryman. Xia Qian smiled proudly. Yes, Qin Fian also praised me recently, saying that I'm much smarter. Xia Qian's, she to be a good girl's with. To hurt, she. He's so good that I think he must have been struck by lightning. You know how much he hated me in the past. Xia Qian still didn't dare to face this problem. It was as if the world had flipped upside down overnight. Everything was against the norm. Xiaoya laughed and punched Xia Qian's leg. Isn't that good? Everyone says that Qin Fian is the best man in High City. In the past, they always said he was gay. Now, he's a man who can't be any better. You say he's gay, but the problem is, there's no sign of a boyfriend. Everyone says that he was born for you. She used to object to Qin Fian, but it didn't seem like he was lying. If it was a lie that everyone believed, then it must be the truth. Xia Qian listened, but she didn't laugh as happily as Xiaoya. Sis, do you think Qin Fian and I knew each other in the past? Xiaoya was stunned. Huh? Why do you say that? Don't think too much. Sis, you know that Qin Fian is very good looking. He's different from brother-in-law and Jiang Zhao. His good looks make women feel inferior. His skin is soft and tender. Especially when he's nice to me, he snuggles into my arms and acts coquettishly. Oh my God, you don't know. I have goosebumps. He's taking away my self-esteem as a woman. Xia Qian frowned as she spoke. Xiaoya laughed out loud and hit Xia Qian's head with a pillow. Then, she quickly hugged the pillow in her arms. So many people are jealous that you've taken in such a good-looking man. You still have goosebumps. Xia Qian shrank back and didn't fight back. She also hugged the pillow. The pillow was bigger. She crossed her legs on the sofa and knocked her chin on the pillow. She shook her head. No, no. Sis, let me finish. She found that she had become more and more silent recently. It seemed that she couldn't be happy. She often tried to make herself as happy as before, but she couldn't do it every time. She didn't know if it was because she had a lot of work now and was starting to worry. People say that people grow up when they work. Is this the trouble of growing up? Xiaoya looked at Xia Qian's serious face and stopped teasing her. She sat up straight and prepared to listen to her seriously. Go ahead. Sis, when he snuggled into my arms, I felt that he had done this to me a long time ago. The goosebumps weren't the kind of disgust. I seemed to have a kind of telepathy. I felt that he had done this to me before. Do you think it's possible that he knew me a long time ago? He also acted coquettishly with me before. But I don't remember at all. I've been thinking about this question recently. Now, whenever I mention the name Qin Fian, I feel very conflicted. Sometimes, when he wakes up in the morning and stands at the head of the bed and grins at me, my brain feels like it's been hit by a stick. It hurts so much. As Xia Qian spoke, her hands were already pressing down on her temples. Xia Qian rubbed her temples. Xiaoya suddenly realized that there were some topics that she couldn't talk about. She had told Qin Fian not to mention Xia Qian's past. Although Xia Qian was often ridiculed, she was very happy. Every day, she woo you. If she remembered the fire, the heartless Xia Qian would never appear again. Qian, how many red packets did you receive at the wedding? Xiaoya changed the topic. Seeing Xia Qian's eyes suddenly light up, she felt relieved. Red packets? Actually, I don't even know how many red packets there were. Qin Fian saved all the red packets and gave me his card. Until now, I haven't checked how much money was in there. Xia Qian snorted. I wanted to save myself the trouble and didn't want to check. I asked him how much money there was, but he didn't say. He said that I'm stupid and don't know how to count money. I used to work a lot to earn money. Why am I not interested at all when he's giving me so much money now? How could Xiaoya not know that Xia Qian's pursuit of money had always been different from hers? It was already good enough that she could tell how much money she had spent and earned today. How could she ask her to manage money? That was simply daydreaming. Dream on. Then I'll have to count the red packets I receive properly. I won't be like you. When the doorbell rang, Xiaoya shuddered. She threw away the pillow in her hands and jumped off the sofa. However, when she opened the door, she was disappointed. The person who came was not Zhuang Yichen, but Qin Fian, who was dressed in a flashy outfit. Qin Fian impolitely called out, "Sister." Then, he went straight into the house, changed his shoes, and went to look for Xia Qian. Qian, let's go home. Qin Fian pulled Xia Qian. I want to sleep at my sister's house tonight. Xia Qian didn't want to go home with Qin Fian. This man must have not touched a woman for hundreds of years. Every day, after coming home, he would take a shower and press her down on the bed. They hadn't been married for long, but she felt like she was going to die every day. How can that be? When brother-in-law comes back, it'll be inconvenient for you to stay at his house. Qin Fian sat on the sofa and hugged Xia Qian. He kept winking at her, hinting that Xia Qian would be a hindrance to their married life. Xia Qian didn't understand his hint. Why would it be inconvenient? Qin Fian was about to explain in her ear, but Xiaoya said unhappily, "When your brother-in-law comes back, he wants to kiss you. Your brother-in-law wants to be intimate with me. Are you going to sit here and watch?" She was very upset because of Xian Man today. Now, Zhuang Yichen hadn't come back, and Qin Fian came to find Xia Qian. The young couple didn't care about her feelings at all, as a woman whose husband was not at home, and they were playing with each other. Qin Fian wanted to say that, but Xiaoya said it first, so he was embarrassed. This big sister was too bold, wasn't she? Xia Qian blushed. "You can do it upstairs. I'll sleep in the guest room downstairs. Go back. If you really stay here, your brother-in-law will hate you to death." Speaking of this, Zhuang Yichen would say that he had a psychological barrier. He was even unhappy that his parents were staying here, let alone his sister-in-law. After Xia Qian was driven away, Xiaoya picked up the phone and called Zhuang Yichen. In fact, she didn't have the habit of calling him. She had been like this for the past few years, but it was different now. She was his wife. Even Qin Fian knew to stay up until midnight to ask his wife to go home, so it was only right for her to ask him. His phone was off. Xiaoya almost smashed the phone. As Qin Fian drove, he could feel that Xia Qian was unhappy in the passenger seat. She had been like this for the past few days. They had only been married for a few days, but every day she acted as if someone owed her money. She wasn't like this in the past. She was always smiling or saying things without thinking. Recently, she had become very quiet. Whenever he thought of her sleeping at his sister's house despite being married, he was unhappy. They were still newlyweds. Although they didn't go on a honeymoon, it was because Zhuang Yichen and Xiaoya's wedding was coming up. They couldn't go out at this time. If they didn't go on a honeymoon, wouldn't they still be newlyweds? Shouldn't newlyweds stick to their husbands when they are newlyweds? However, he couldn't say it out loud. He had to be more tactful. "Qian, how many times have I told you? Girls shouldn't stay out so late. Did you even listen to me?" Xia Qian retorted, "I'm at my sister's house." "What's wrong?" Qin Fian choked. He pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose. "It's already midnight. What's wrong with you? You're not single now. If you don't go home, Grandpa will ask all night. He will think that we fought." Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 762. Hearing Qin Fian bring up Old Master Qin, Xia Qian fell silent. In fact, everyone in the Qin family treated her very well. They didn't mind that she was a fool outside at all, and they all flattered her. Even Old Master Qin was very polite to her. He often came over to ask her what she wanted to eat for breakfast. To be honest, she had never been cared about like this before. Although her sister's family treated her well, they had never been so considerate. Her voice lowered. "I'm sorry. I'll apologize to Grandpa when we get back." Qin Fian smiled. Sure enough, Grandpa's words were useful. He glanced at his little daughter beside him. Her hair still only reached her shoulders. Her hair was not very thick. It was soft. Soft. Her hair was permed, making it look a little hairy. She always said that she was not pretty. Actually, in his eyes, she was prettier than anyone else. So what if she had plastic surgery? It was pretty good. The tip of her nose was still hot and sweaty. When she smiled happily, her eyes were still very bright. When she chewed on the candy with her small white teeth, it made a crunching sound. His heart softened. "It's okay. I'll go talk to them later. Don't do this next time, okay?" Xia Qian nodded. "Okay." When they returned to the Qin residence and entered the room, Xia Qian was a little afraid to take a shower. Nothing good would come out of the shower. Qin Fian saw her hesitation and pushed her. Go take a shower. I don't want to take a shower. Xia Qian took off her jacket and wanted to get on the bed. It's not summer anyway and I'm not dirty. I don't want to take a shower today. If she did not want to take a shower, she would not feel uncomfortable. Qin Fian saw Xia Qian shrinking her head and burrowing into the blanket. How could she not take a shower? She was taking a shower. He pulled the blanket aside and pulled her up. You can't not take a shower. Qin Fian, my body is not good enough. I'm not good looking. Can't you find another woman to do it with? Qin Fian's face darkened. What nonsense are you talking about? She actually asked him to find another woman. How could she say something like that? Didn't she find it hurtful? Xia Qian angrily pulled the blanket over her head. She was about to cry. I don't want to sleep with you. I'm so annoyed. These words dealt a heavy blow to Qin Fian. It had only been a week since they registered their marriage and got married. It was really too fast. He thought that he had deep feelings for her, and it could even be said that he was dependent on her. However, there was no man who did not want his wife to affirm his ability, including in bed. But she said she didn't want to sleep with him. It was so annoying. She was bored with him. He wondered if she had no feelings for him. Or were they not satisfied with his ability? That day, she clearly said that she loved him when he was asleep. He was so happy that he almost strangled her to death. Every time they reached the end, he could still hear her moans. Why was it so annoying? The more he thought about it, the more he felt hurt. He pulled the blanket away and said in a small voice, Qian, do you despise me? Xia Qian turned her face away. I don't want to sleep with you. They had only been married for a little over a week and she was most afraid of nightfall. She was terrified at the thought of him insisting on taking her body. Qin Fian's face darkened. You despise me for not being big enough? Get lost. Xia Qian gritted her teeth and threw a pillow at him. Damn it, I'm so full. How big do you want me to be? Get lost. Qin Fian laughed. Not enough time. Damn it. I'm going to be paralyzed on the bed because of you. Any longer and you're going to kill me. Qin Fian was happy and kissed her face. Then why? Don't people say it's good if it's big and long? Whoever wants to do it with you, go find them. You're so bad at it. I've never experienced the feeling described in novels. If I have, it's only at the end. I don't want to endure such a long time for such a small feeling. I won't do it. Qin Fian was stunned. This was the second time Xia Qian had said that he was bad at it. He was very distressed. He felt that as long as it was a man, he would definitely be self-taught. How could there be a difference between good and bad? Anyway, every time he saw her come out of the shower and smelled the scent on her body, he wanted to roll in the sheets with her. Every time, he couldn't wait and couldn't hold it in. No matter how much she resisted, he felt very comfortable. That kind of process was indescribably wonderful. Could it be that she didn't feel the same way as he did? Qin Fian was not as experienced as Zhuang Yichen when it came to such matters. It was a sad thing for a 25-year-old man to have just started this life. He realized that he lacked understanding of Xia Qian and that matter. A man who had tasted the sweetness of sex for the first time, other than excitedly playing with his wife the whole night after he got out of bed, he didn't have any skills to speak of. Therefore, he began to realize that there was something wrong with the rhythm. He liked to discuss many things with Jiang Zhao, but this kind of thing, he couldn't possibly discuss it with him, right? It would be embarrassing if word got out. He could ask his brother for advice on how to pick up a woman, but if he had to ask his brother for advice on how to sleep with her, he would be too useless. Qin Fian sighed and patted Xia Qian. Sleep early. I'll go outside. Xia Qian hid under the blankets and didn't dare to poke her head out. She only came out of the blankets when there was no sound in the room. Could she finally have a good night's sleep? He said he was going outside. He wouldn't come in again, right? Therefore, she got out of bed, took a shower, and went to sleep. Qin Fian waited for Xia Qian to fall asleep before crawling back into bed. This time, he was determined to win. He had enough confidence. Slowly, he didn't use too much strength. His movements were extremely gentle. He watched as Xia Qian closed her eyes and moved from time to time. He was delighted when he heard the sound of something breaking coming out of her nose. He knew that there must have been something wrong with the rhythm in the past. Qian, yeah, I won't be a beast tonight. Xia Qian couldn't breathe. She opened her eyes and was shocked. Qin Fian. Be good. I'm already halfway in. Did you just realize? Xia Qian finally realized that he still had the nerve to say that he wasn't a beast. You beast. How dare you sneak up on me? You're too slippery today. Qin Fian was still smiling when he heard Xia Qian say, yeah. Qin Fian let out a cry and felt that he was satisfied. He finally knew that this rhythm was definitely correct. Don't call me beast. Call me brother. Pfft. Yeah. Are you going to call me that or not? Qin Fian, who had mastered the technique, began to use his advantage to threaten Xia Qian. Looking at her, he finally understood a truth. There was no end to learning. There were 72 professions, and each profession had its own master. That kind of thing was also a kind of learning, a never-ending kind of learning. Brother, you're my biological brother. Qin Fian's face darkened. Bullsh *T, I don't like it. Lover brother. Am I right? Yeah, Xiaoya kept waiting for Zhuang Yichen. It was 3 a.m, but there was still no call. Even though she had been pretending to be calm, she still panicked. Based on Zhuang Yichen's character, he must have had a woman outside. This person would definitely not bother to hide it from her. He had never promised to be loyal to her. After all, she had gotten her position as an underground prostitute. If he really went to find a woman, she didn't need to panic. At most, she would feel terrible. She called Li Yong. Her voice was a little weak. Uncle Li, where's Yichen? Is he with you? Young mistress, please wait a moment. I'll pass the phone to young master. Xiaoya heard Li Yong turn the door lock and then call softly, young master. She heard Zhuang Yichen ask, what's wrong? Young mistress called. Oh. It turned out that he was fine. He had made her worry for the whole night. The string in her heart snapped. She fell to the ground as if she had been sucked dry. As soon as Zhuang Yichen picked up the phone, he heard the sound of something hitting the ground on the other end of the line. When Zhuang Yichen rushed back to 9th Mansion, he found Xiaoya on the ground. He hurriedly carried her up. Xiaoya hugged Zhuang Yichen's waist and said weakly, next time when you're outside, can you give me a call? I thought something happened to you. I suddenly relaxed just now and fell to the ground. I fainted for a while and fell asleep. Brother Zhao wanted to talk to me about something. We were on a video call and my phone ran out of battery, so I forgot about it. Zhuang Yichen was also a little regretful. However, Yinyi was pregnant and Zhang Zhao had to wait for her to fall asleep every day before he could look for her. There was very little time, so when they talked, he forgot everything. It won't happen again. It's good that you're fine. I'm sleepy, okay, let's go upstairs and sleep. Time passed like this. Zhuang Yichen went home every day. When it was time for the wedding, Xiaoya started to feel nervous. She had always dressed very sexily. When everyone thought that she would go all out, she wore a princess-style wedding dress with a luxurious handmade rice veil on her head. She had on bright bridal makeup, pink eyeshadow, and bright lipstick. She didn't look seductive at all. Instead, she looked very pure. Zhuang Yichen hugged her. The dress is so long, and it's so fluffy. It's not convenient to find a place to sneak a kiss. Xiaoya glared at him. You're so naughty. You're beautiful, my little fairy. Zhuang Yichen hugged Xiaoya, and the frame of the wedding dress tightened around the woman's waist. He held her slender waist in his hand. I really want to kiss you properly, but you have makeup on your face. I'll let you kiss me tonight. Xiaoya twisted her waist. At this moment, she looked a little shy. Zhuang Yichen's heart skipped a beat. You want to kiss me everywhere? Xiaoya's face turned even redder. Okay. He nibbled on her ear. What about mine? He pulled her hand and placed it on his crotch. Xiaoya snorted. You don't want to? Who said so? She hugged his neck. I love you. I'm willing. Zhuang Yichen smiled naughtily. Shouldn't you say that when I'm willing when we're vowing? Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 763. You know what I'm talking about, yet you're still talking about it. Haha. Tease. What about you? Xiaoya knew that Zhuang Yichen treated her differently. People like him were too lazy to even smile at others. Those love-struck women would go crazy just to wait for him to smile. She was already immune to it. Hence, she could not blindly imagine anything. She thought that he was that kind of person, but he was actually that kind of person. Zhuang Yichen was nothing more than a tall, rich, and handsome man. Look at how those women were mesmerized by him. She felt disdain in her heart, but on second thought, wasn't this D*MN man still mesmerized by her? Zhuang Yichen's phone rang. He kissed her ear and said, I'm going out to take a call, madam. Okay. The moment Zhuang Yichen went out, the bridesmaids rushed in again. The moment that guy came, he chased everyone away. However, she liked his vigor. The wind was still cold. The wind on the tall building was blowing in all directions, messing up everyone's hair. Zhuang Yichen was wearing a black suit made by Xiaoya. He looked domineering. The violet flower on his chest made him look even more stunning. Kang Yian was wearing a mid-length coat with a standing collar. She looked much more refined. Zhuang Yichen was holding the photo that Kang Yian handed to him. He was engrossed in it, but his ears were not idle. He listened to Kang Yian's narration without missing a word. Why do you think she's with you? Isn't it because your eyes look like mine? Kang Yian said faintly. She felt that after losing me, she wanted to find someone who looks like me. Zhuang Yichen was holding the photo of Xiaoya and Kang Yian. His hand tightened. This was something that he had never noticed before. He looked at Kang Yian's eyes. If he covered the part below the nose, this pair of eyes really looked like his. It was just that Kang Yian was fairer than him. Zhuang Yichen lowered his head and continued to look at the photo. He looked at the woman in the photo. To be exact, it was a girl. She was wearing a school uniform. Her long hair was neat, and her eyes were curved with a smile. Other than happiness, there was nothing else in her eyes. The first time he saw her, she had short hair and a short skirt. She sat on his lap, invited him to drink, and seduced him. He remembered that she kept staring into his eyes. It was as if she was looking into his heart. He could not help but tighten his grip on the photo. He was a substitute. Qiu Xiaoya, she dared to treat him as a substitute. Kang Yian leaned against the cement wall on the roof and looked at the hustle and bustle of the city. He was not reconciled. Ever since he came back, he could not get close to Xiaoya. Zhuang Yichen always found a way to stop him. Many times, he was clearly close to her, but he was suddenly interrupted by something. Sometimes, even if Xiaoya looked like a person, he would be suddenly chased away by Zhuang Yichen's people when he finally found her whereabouts. He even received threats and threats. He was the one who proposed to Xiaoya first. Xiaoya and I have known each other for so many years. Her grades were not good, and I was the one who made up for her. Her grades were surprisingly high for all the classes that I made up for her. Although my family was against it, we were always together. Back then, my mother lied to me. She colluded with the doctor to give me a notice of critical illness. She said that I had blood cancer and could only live for 3 years at most. I loved her. I could not accept the fact that I could only live for 3 years. If I died one day, what would she do? Kang Ian's voice choked and he let out a long breath. So I dumped her in front of everyone in Ocean University. I knew that she tried to commit suicide. I was the one who asked me to follow her, so she did not succeed. She was going to cut her wrist, but because someone stopped her, she cut the area between her thumb and index finger. The scar on her hand was because of me. Later, she was hospitalized. After she was discharged, she went abroad for a vacation. My mother asked someone to get rid of me. You two were entangled at that time, right? At that time, I had just broken up with her. She only thought of you as me. Even if you only had one eye like me, it could still comfort her heart. Do you know why she wanted to be famous? Kang Ian took another breath. His eyes were full of pain. Because at that time, she only knew that I went abroad, but she did not know where I went. She went abroad to look for me. She could not find me, so she wanted to be famous. She wanted me to see her and see where she was so that I could find her. She wanted to stand at a high position so that I could find her. These were the words she wrote to me in an email. Zhuang Yichen, everything she did was because of me. Listening to Kang Ian's calm narration, Zhuang Yichen swore to God that if it was not for the fact that he did not want Kang Ian to see anything, he would definitely throw this man out of the building. No one knew how angry he was at that moment. He had touched the scar on Xiaoya's hand countless times at night. He always wondered what caused such an injury. She looked so good. It turned out that she had killed herself for another man, and he, as a substitute, had accompanied her for 4 years. His mind flashed back to the first time they met. Most of the British bars were foreigners with curly hair. He had gathered there with a few young friends because he was bored. He still felt that Asians were much more pleasing to the eye. He did not like foreign women's skin. Although their facial features were three-dimensional, it felt prickly to touch. That kind of porcelain and jade-like skin was what he loved. She came into his line of sight because there were so many Asians abroad. In the end, she sat in his arms without looking sideways. She held 2 glasses of wine in her hands. She picked up one of the glasses and touched his chin, saying that she wanted to treat him to a drink. His friends saw that he was not in the mood at night and began to kick up a fuss. They said that he did not even dare to drink a woman's wine. He took her glass, put his arm around her waist, and said that he was not used to spending a woman's money. The wine, of course, was his treat. He remembered that she looked into his eyes as if she wanted to look into his heart. Then, she began to kiss him. Because she saw that he was so focused that it did not seem like he was playing a game. His friends began to kick up a fuss again, saying that he did not even dare to eat what he sent to his door. He carried her and left that place. When they woke up the next morning, she hugged his waist. If you are a capable man, let me be your lover, okay? He was stunned. If he did not see the red roses on the bed and felt that layer of membrane last night, he would have thought that this woman was a natural social butterfly. What's your name? He asked. Qiu Xiaoya. How much do you want? I don't want money. I want to be a famous designer. Can you help me become famous? He was stunned for a moment. She was a special person. I have mysophobia. I don't like to change female partners. Your body can't betray me. For 4 years, you can't have other men. You can't have excessive demands. I will make you famous. I will give you the house. After 4 years, the ownership will be transferred. If you want to stop early, my support for you will also stop. Okay. At that time, she agreed readily. They had once toasted because both of them did not hide anything. It was actually very easy to find such a woman. She had always been honest. But now, this Kang Ian told him that this was the reason. Although she did not say that she had feelings for anyone, he still could not accept that he was Kang Ian's substitute. Moreover, she became famous because of Kang Yun. This damn reason. He should have confronted her and not just listened to Kang Yun's one-sided words. His heart began to turn upside down, and his mind was scattered. Kang Yun noticed his absent-mindedness. After I went abroad for 4 years, I found out that my mother lied to me. After I found out the truth, I went back immediately. Zhuang Yichen, tell me, if I tell Xiaoya about this, will she still marry you? Zhuang Yichen's heart skipped a beat. He looked up with a faint gaze and a faint smile. However, his gaze turned cold, and there was a murderous glint in his eyes. Kang Yun, you can't steal a woman from anyone, but you want to steal from me? When he said this, he realized that he had always underestimated Kang Yun. He thought that he was only her past boyfriend. Her boyfriend, he treated Kang Yun like a gangster. But now, he had the urge to destroy Kang Yun's body and destroy all evidence. You're scared, right? You must know that Xiaoya has always had me in her heart, right? Kang Yun. Zhuang Yichen smiled. I'm not worried. I'm worried that you won't attend the wedding later. Kang Yun saw Zhuang Yichen's faint smile and her heart trembled. Am I the one who doesn't want to attend? You're the one who won't let me in. Why should I let you in? Then why did you say that you're worried that I won't attend? I'm a conflicted person. Zhuang Yichen laughed. I don't want you to ruin my mood, but I also want you to see how happy she looks when she's in my arms. What should I do? Zhuang Yichen tore the photo in his hand and waved it. The pieces flew with the wind and fell into the city. Kang Yun seemed to have expected this. I have the original. Zhuang Yichen shook his head and raised his eyebrows. He smiled and said, I should show you our wedding photos. They're better than yours. You'll never know what kind of woman Xiaoya is after she matures, but I know. Xiaoya didn't know what a grand wedding was. She only knew that when Yi Er got married, it was such a sensational wedding in Jiang district that she was envious of. Now that it was her turn to get married, she got it too. Such a luxurious fleet of cars was the envy of others. There was immediately news on Weibo that people nowadays like to flaunt their wealth. She thought to herself, it's not that I want to flaunt my wealth, but I'm rich to begin with. She was so proud of herself. She held on to Zhuang Yichen's arm. She saw the man turn his head to look at her. He looked so charming when he smiled. They walked all the way to the priest's position from outside the church. She knew that the ring on her ring finger was worth millions. When she said, I do, in a choked voice, she heard him say in her ear, your tears of happiness are worth more than this diamond. It's a pity to let it flow out. Xiaoya knew that Zhuang Yichen treated her differently. People like him didn't say too many sweet words. Today, he seemed to be putting in a lot of effort to make her happy. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 764. She knew that there were 6 pairs of groomsmen and bridesmaids. Just the clothes they were wearing were worth at least 100,000 yuan each. She knew that the banquet was served with crystal cups flown from Italy. Thousands of crystal cups clinked in the hands of the guests. She knew that the walls and ceiling of the nearly 2,000 square meters banquet hall were decorated with red American roses and scattered baby stars. Not only were the flowers overflowing, but it was also like a girl walking into a dream. She remembered one time when Yi Er called her to complain that Jiang Zhao never sent her flowers. She even comforted Yi Er, only women like flowers. Men don't like flowers that much. Although it's a pity that you didn't get to spend them, isn't it enough that Jiang Zhao treats you well? At that time, she was in his arms. He must have heard it. That was why he gave her so many flowers, so many that there was not a single gap. She looked up at the ceiling. In the wall of fiery red roses, there were 2 figures formed by pink roses. They were so lifelike that they looked like a man and woman in love. Both of them had their hands behind their backs. They leaned forward and kissed each other. She could tell that the woman had short hair below her ears. He turned his head. I think you are as enchanting as a red rose. But others say that pink roses represent love. We don't seem to have been in love before. If we were to be in a relationship, would we be like that? His gaze fell on the couple. He asked her, do you like it? Xiaoya almost wanted to throw a punch at him. She wanted to roar and ask him if he still wanted her to get married. It was such a good day, why did he have to make her want to cry? All she saw were the nobles, and all she heard was the wedding march played by the most famous symphony orchestra. Other people's grand weddings were magnificent, but she knew that every part of her grand wedding was a dream that Zhuang Yichen returned to her, showing off her happiness in front of everyone. The dream at night was more realistic. Her soft skin was pressed against his firm chest, and the breath she exhaled was lingering and strong. Once upon a time, she had never thought that he was a good man. But today, she thought that he was the best man in the world. The tip of his tongue between her legs teased her. Xiaoya clutched the bedsheets tightly. Yichen. Yichen, His voice was the only sound that came out of his nose. She reached out and grabbed his hair between her legs. Only when the sheets were wet did he retract his tongue. He propped himself up and kissed her on the lips. He asked her in a low voice, does it feel good? He smiled wickedly and knelt down. Without waiting for her consent, he grabbed her head and placed his already swollen head into her mouth. She closed her eyes and tried her best not to let her teeth touch him. Hearing the deep moan coming from his throat, she tried even harder to please him. Zhuang Yichen found Kang Yian's mother and asked her to take care of her son. It was better for her not to think about other people's wives. She did not want to make everyone look bad in the end. As Zhuang Yichen had expected, Kang Yian's mother strongly opposed it because she didn't like Xiaoya's family background. How could she agree now? This way, he didn't have to do anything. He wasn't sure what he would do if Kang Yian dared to find Xiaoya and tell her about what happened back then. But he was sure that if Xiaoya wanted to break up because of this, he would kill Kang Yian. But this kind of thing was like a curse. He had been controlling himself. Who didn't have a past? Why did he have to ask Xiaoya to do something? But at night, he couldn't help but sit up. He started drinking. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to sleep. Whenever he slept beside her, he felt that he was a substitute. He couldn't think too deeply about this problem. The more he thought about it, the more he drank. After drinking, he was half sober and half drunk. Xiaoya snatched his wine glass and asked him if he had met with any difficulties recently. Without any explanation, he pressed her against the wall and used the most realistic way to possess her. He panted. Little demon Xiao, do you think my eyes are good-looking? Xiaoya looked at his slender eyes. She reached out and touched them. His almond-shaped eyes were so charming, especially when they were on his face. When he narrowed them slightly, he looked gloomy and domineering. Yes. I think these are the best-looking eyes in the world. Which part of my face do you think is the best-looking? Your eyes are the best-looking. Your nose is also good-looking. Your mouth is also good-looking. Even the stubble on your chin when you wake up in the morning is good-looking. She kissed him. But he hated hearing that sentence the most. Your eyes are the best-looking. He let out a long breath and rubbed her chest. Give me a son. I have so many assets. You have to give me a son. What if you give birth to a daughter? Abort it? Don't you dare. I want a daughter too, but I must have a son. If it's a daughter, I'll stop giving birth to a son. She caressed his face with some heartache. She felt that he seemed to be carrying a lot on his shoulders recently. He was very tired, so she lowered her voice. Yichen, you just stopped taking the medicine not long ago. He shook his head and pulled out of her body. I drank alcohol today. I can't have it. I'll stop drinking tomorrow. I'll quit smoking. Then he went upstairs, found the condom, and called her upstairs. The moment she entered the door, he buried himself in her body. Thrusting, the rainy night, the lightning, and the deafening thunder. Zhuang Yichen searched through the 9th mansion and returned to the villa in the suburbs. He didn't even care that it was past 10 o'clock. He still called Yi Er. Sister-in-law, did Xiaoya go to your place? Zhuang Yichen? What time is it now? Yi Er was sleeping like a log. Jiang Zhao picked up the phone. He was very angry. Usually, he wouldn't disturb Yi Er's sleep no matter what, but Zhuang Yichen didn't call him and called Yi Er. Didn't he see what time it was now? Brother Zhao. Xiaoya is missing. I'm very busy today. You know, we've been doing that thing recently. I didn't have time to call her. I only left the company at 8:30. I called her, but her phone was turned off. I went to her shop, but there was no one there. I've searched a few houses, but there's no one there. The staff in the shop said that she went out this afternoon. I couldn't find her, so I called her to ask if she had seen her. Zhuang Yichen finished in one breath, afraid that he would miss something. You're saying that Xiaoya is missing? Yes, she's missing. I just tried calling my in-laws, and they said that they would come to visit us in 2 days. That means that Xiaoya didn't come home at all. Brother Zhao, I didn't quarrel with her. She's not throwing a tantrum at me. That's for sure. Zhuang Yichen didn't like to tell others about his personal feelings. He hid them very well, including his private feelings. But at this time, he couldn't care less. The thunder in the sky started to rumble again. Lightning lit up the sky like a demonic magic. Jiang Zhao came out of Yi Er's room. He felt that this was no small matter. They're just newlyweds. How can there be so many arguments? Did you call Xia Qian? Zhuang Yichen was stunned for a moment. He was about to hang up and call Xia Qian. Don't call her. Jiang Zhao interrupted him. I'll give Fian a call, lest you tell Xia Qian everything. If she's really missing, it's better not to let Xia Qian know for the time being, lest she spreads it everywhere. But Fian listens to me. Then I'll leave it to you. Okay, I'll call you in 2 minutes. Zhuang Yichen took a deep breath. Li Yong was standing beside him. Young master, how is it? No one knows. Young master, don't worry. Young mistress might have gone to have fun. You've been married for so long and you're so busy. If she's bored, it's possible that she went to a bar or something, Li Yong comforted. Zhuang Yichen waved his hand. He took off his tie and threw it on the sofa. He let out a long breath. Seeing that his phone hadn't rang yet, he said impatiently, Uncle Li, if it was in the past, she might have gone, but Xiaoya isn't Zhuang Yichen. She's a smart woman. Everyone in High City knows that she's my wife. How could she go to a bar like that? Even if she wanted to go, she would have asked me, Xia Qian, Qin Fian. She wouldn't go alone. Jiang Zhao's phone rang 2 minutes later. Yichen, I think it's better to call the police. Fian said that Xiaoya didn't look for Xia Qian. This is a little strange. Call the police? Zhuang Yichen's heart skipped a beat. Calling the police was a very serious matter, especially for Zhuang Yichen. For people like him, it was best not to deal with the police. Moreover, he felt that the police were not as reliable as his subordinates. In addition, if there was really a problem, the police would be a big deal and alert the enemy. Zhuang Yichen told Jiang Zhao not to be anxious. He hung up the phone. He called Scarface and the bearded man and asked them to immediately release their fishing lines to fish for clues. Just as he hung up the phone, a familiar number called. He picked it up. Second brother, the man's voice on the other end was arrogant and hypocritical. Zhuang Yichen suddenly realized that something was wrong and started to be hypocritical. Big brother. Huh, you're not asleep yet. No. You can't sleep because you're waiting for sister-in-law, right? Zhuang Yifeng knew that what he said would be very infuriating, but the more infuriating he was, the more he wanted to say it. Zhuang Yichen was indeed so angry that he clenched his fists. Sure enough, it seemed that he really couldn't call the police today. Li Yong moved to his side and gave him a fierce look. Zhuang Yichen stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window with one hand on his waist. He shook his head at Li Yong and glanced out the window. Outside, there was a thunderstorm, and Zhuang Yichen could also hear it on the other end. He wasn't sure where Zhuang Yifeng was. He had been worried. "Big brother, are you keeping Xiaoya for supper?" Haha. Zhuang Yifeng laughed strangely. "Oh my god, my second brother, you're already at this juncture. Why are you still pretending to be deep in front of your big brother? Supper? Do you think I'm such a petty person? My subordinates have been researching something recently. I think it's very interesting and want sister-in-law to play with it." Welfare, Hongcha 866. Chapter 765. Don't do anything rash. Zhuang Yichen closed his eyes and tried to calm himself down. However, his voice was still very loud and it scared Li Yong, who was standing at the side. Second brother, don't get agitated. Even big brother speaks so softly. You're being disrespectful to big brother. How can you not differentiate between the young and the old? Zhuang Yifeng spoke like a venomous snake. He straightened his body and bent his head slightly backward. He stuck out his tongue as if he was going to pounce on Zhuang Yichen at any moment. However, he kept sticking out his tongue and didn't pounce on Zhuang Yichen. "What do you want?" Zhuang Yichen was confused and asked for the reason first. "My subordinates are researching a lightning rod. I think it's very interesting. What do you think will happen if this lightning rod is tied to a person's head and lightning strikes?" Zhuang Yichen raised his hand and pressed it against his forehead. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't listen to Zhuang Yifeng anymore. "What do you want?" Zhuang Yichen knew he had lost when he raised this condition. "I want you to come here alone. I'm at the Shirley Pavilion. You know, this is the wilderness. I like to deal with ghosts. If you bring too many people here and scare away my ghosts, I'll get angry." The Shirley Pavilion was a place where many people from Haicheng liked to hide from the cold in summer. There were relatively fewer people in winter. It wasn't a scenic spot. It was just a long pavilion that was built for the convenience of the city. On a winter night like this, there were even fewer people. However, there was a chair in the seemingly dark pavilion. A person was sitting on the chair with his legs crossed. When the lightning struck, his expression was unusually gloomy and scary. There were more than 10 strong men standing beside him. They looked fierce. "Get some light so that second brother won't be able to find this place." Zhuang Yifeng smiled. A few seconds later, a few searchlights lit up in the pavilion. This way, they wouldn't have to wait for the lightning to strike. They could see 10 meters away. There were 2 shelves outside the pavilion. They were 10 meters apart. Zhuang Yifeng and the 2 shelves formed an equilateral triangle. The 2 shelves outside the pavilion weren't empty. There were 2 people hanging in the air. They were 2 women. One of them was Xiaoya. The other was Zhuang Yifeng's wife. Exian Man Zhuang Yifeng sighed and looked at Exian Man coldly. This woman stole his secrets and gave them to Zhuang Yichen. She even dared to ruin her relationship with Zhuang Yichen. Not long ago, his men had taken photos of her and Zhuang Yichen behaving intimately. Zhuang Yifeng, Zhuang Yifeng, Zhuang Yifeng's, Zhuang Yifeng, Zhuang Yifeng's. But damn it, he had indulged this woman more and more, which led to the current situation. Exian Man had revealed the real estate company's secrets to Zhuang Yichen that the 3rd episode of The Shoreline was in trouble. Xiaoya no longer had the strength to shout. She only felt that her entire body was about to freeze. It was too cold. It wasn't even March yet and it was very cold. However, it was still raining. Furthermore, it was night time. The cold air followed the rainwater and stuck to her body, entering her skin. Now, she felt that the cold air had already entered her lungs. Xiaoya was very tired and cold, but she didn't even have the energy to shiver. There was nothing left. In the rainy night, 2 strong beams of light pierced through the layers of rain and shot towards the pavilion. The man beside Zhuang Yifeng shouted, take your weapons. The sound of bullets being loaded could be heard. Zhuang Yifeng waved his hand and said lightly, don't be like this. You're scaring my second brother. If another person comes out of his car, shoot him in the leg. Yes. 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 Zhuang Yifeng stood up and saw that Zhuang Yichen was still looking at the Bugatti in the city. He mocked, look at this second brother of mine. He doesn't even know how to drive an off-road vehicle with a higher chassis in the wilderness. If we bring him up a slope, he'll be useless here. The car stopped outside the pavilion. Zhuang Yichen opened the door and got out of the car. He opened the seat and propped it on top of his head. The black umbrella was darker than the night sky. The huge black umbrella seemed to be propping up a pavilion above his head. Raindrops fell from the corners of the roof outside the pavilion. Zhuang Yifeng waved his hand. Go over and search him. The gun was pointed at Zhuang Yichen's back. Zhuang Yichen held the umbrella and raised his hand, allowing these people to search him. Zhuang Yichen's men asked Zhuang Yichen to open the car door and the trunk. After making sure that he didn't bring anyone with him, they nodded at Zhuang Yifeng. Zhuang Yifeng invited Zhuang Yichen into the pavilion. He patted his shoulder and said pretentiously, second brother, how many years has it been since we've had a good chat? This isn't good. Although we have different mothers, we have the same father, right? Blood is thicker than water. How can we not interact with each other? Big brother, you're right. As your younger brother, I'm right. I don't know any better. Zhuang Yichen entered the pavilion and stood where Zhuang Yifeng was sitting just now. There were more searchlights and they shone on the rack outside. Zhuang Yichen looked in the direction of the searchlights. He took 2 steps forward and stood in the corridor of the pavilion. He was shocked. Little man? If it was the police, then it was fine. He suddenly turned his head. His slender eyes were filled with disbelief and anger. Why is little man here? Haha. Zhuang Yichen laughed. What do you think of this gift? Are you surprised? Zhuang Yichen exhaled heavily. He gritted his teeth and said, Zhuang Yifeng, you're too much. Little man is your wife. How dare you tie her up there? My younger brother, you shouldn't talk like that. It seems like your wife is there too. This is between me and Xiaoya. Let little man go. Zhuang Yichen said sternly. Zhuang Yifeng raised his eyebrows and shrugged. You called me big brother just now. You don't even need to use honorifics now. He sighed. Sigh, it's still not thundering today. I'm so anxious. Just now, there was continuous thunder, but when you came, there was no thunder. I originally wanted to wait for you to come and put on the lightning rods for them so that you can watch a good show. Look, my second brother, what kind of luck do you have? You can't even watch a good show. Zhuang Yichen's gaze fell on Exian Man. Exian Man was hung on the rack. Her hands were tied up like Xiaoya's. In fact, not to mention the cold, her arms couldn't stand being hung like that for a long time. Hence, Exian Man and Xiaoya both fainted. However, Zhuang Yichen's voice was too loud. There hadn't been thunder for a long time, so his voice sounded abrupt. However, Exian Man was very familiar with Zhuang Yichen's voice. She slowly opened her eyes. When she saw Zhuang Yichen's figure, she still couldn't believe it. She tried to call out, Yichen. Then, she shouted loudly, Yichen. Zhuang Yichen clenched his fists. Big brother, let little man go first. How can I? I've never been soft-hearted to people who betray me. Zhuang Yichen looked at his wife who was desperately calling for Zhuang Yichen's life in the rain. He gritted his teeth angrily. I was the one who instigated little man to get the information. None of this has anything to do with her. Let her go and come at me. Although Zhuang Yichen didn't have an advantage in front of more than 10 people, he was born with a stronger appearance than Zhuang Yifeng. At this time, his words were sonorous and forceful, which imperceptibly made his domineering aura leak out. Zhuang Yifeng was stunned for a moment. Then, he suddenly laughed. You? What right do you have to ask me to come at you? You're now a doll in my hands. I can do whatever I want. What right do you have to negotiate with me? Zhuang Yichen, you actually dared to plot against me behind my back. Originally, we didn't need to put our guns on the table. Everyone was doing their own business. However, your appetite is too big. A few years ago, you killed my mother. Last year, you sent my father to prison. Now, you actually want to send me to prison. Huh, why don't you just kill my father? You want to torture him, right? You want to use the same trick to deal with me? Zhuang Yichen, I'm telling you, I'm going to kill you today. Zhuang Yichen looked around Zhuang Yichen. His eyes turned cold as he said coldly, now, if you want me to die, it's all up to you. But first, you have to let little man go. Xiaoya felt that the rain falling on her body was getting smaller and smaller. Gradually, it lost its strength. Therefore, in her muddled state, she could clearly hear Zhuang Yichen's voice. It was like a dose of refreshing medicine. Her arms were dangling until she felt like they weren't hers anymore. She wanted to use more strength to pull them up, but she didn't have the strength. Her joints felt like they were about to be torn apart. When she was awake, all kinds of discomfort became more obvious. The sound of the rain was getting smaller and smaller. Although the visibility was still not high, Xiaoya opened her eyes and saw her husband standing in the pavilion. She was originally happy, but when she saw the other people in the pavilion, her joy was shattered. What replaced it was uneasiness and fear. She shouted at him, Zhuang Yichen. What are you doing here? Go away, they have guns. Hearing this, Zhuang Yichen was in high spirits. Husband and wife, how touching. Zhuang Yichen didn't seem to hear Zhuang Yichen's mockery. He tilted his head and looked at Xiaoya. His eyes were deep and his thick eyebrows were tightly knitted. At night, Xiaoya couldn't see the light in his eyes. She only knew that he looked very anxious. Even his tone was anxious. Little demon, don't worry. I'm here. Xiaoya was so touched that her eyes were burning, but she was still very worried. Zhuang Yichen, are you stupid? He tricked you here. He's desperate. Zhuang Yichen laughed. Sister-in-law is so smart. As he spoke, he reached out to pat Zhuang Yichen's shoulder. Zhuang Yichen's back muscles were as tense as iron. Xiaoya and I will stay here. You let Xiao Man go. This has nothing to do with Xiao Man, but his words were heard clearly by Xiaoya as the rain gradually stopped. She subconsciously turned her head and clearly saw that Enchanting Man was also like her, with her hands tied up and hung up. Enchanting Man was also being used to threaten Zhuang Yichen. Xiaoya suddenly felt an extremely uncomfortable feeling in her heart. She finally understood why so many people were crazy about love. It was because nothing could be mixed with it. She didn't know how long she had been in love with Zhuang Yichen. She only knew that she had slowly gotten used to rejecting other men for her employer. Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 766. She could have broken up with him and found a man who was willing to marry her, but she didn't. She wrote down Zhuang Yichen's name on the paper from the age of 21 to 25. There wasn't a single gap and she couldn't write another story. She already had a career and didn't need to rely on him anymore, but she still didn't break up with him. Instead, she waited until Kang Ian reappeared. She started to understand how to compare and scheme. She used to beg for death because of love. She felt that it was impossible for her to love again in this lifetime. She found a man and asked for material things from him. She didn't need love, not even care. But she still did what she did in the past. She plunged into Zhuang Yichen's paper. But now, she understood how to compare. Compared to her an Enchanting Man, who was more important in his heart. She wasn't afraid that he wouldn't come. Instead, she was afraid that he would be in more danger if he came. But now, he was here. But he chose to let Zhuang Yichen release Exian Man. Xiaoya felt her entire body go numb. She was so cold that she was numb. Her hands were tied by the rope and her blood flow wasn't smooth. Her entire body was numb. Only the pain in her heart was the clearest. She had always disdained Exian Man's existence. She felt that she was cleaner than Exian Man. Although her first love didn't belong to Zhuang Yichen, she gave her first time to Zhuang Yichen. And her body only belonged to Zhuang Yichen. When Zhuang Yichen used force on her body, she felt that this man liked her. What was Exian Man? She was just a fleeting cloud. But if the man you love, at the moment of life and death, regardless of whether he can survive or not, chooses to give up on you and reach out to another person he once loved, how would you feel? Xiaoya couldn't speak. She would rather stay unconscious. But her heart hurt more and more. The pain made her nerves more sensitive and clearer. Okay, I can let Exian Man go. But give me Xingchen International. I've prepared the contract. Sign it. Xiaoya heard Zhuang Yichen say without thinking, okay. Give it to me, I'll sign it. Xiaoya bit her lips. She couldn't cry out loud. Even if he thought for a moment, she wouldn't be so sad. Because of that Exian Man, he had come to this point. She was just someone else's wife, it had nothing to do with him. Zhuang Yifeng shook his head and could not help but feel extremely regretful. I forgot to ask you to bring the company's official seal. It seems that today's losses are too great. He took a gun from his subordinate and loaded it. He raised his hand and looked at the two shelves, then handed a knife to Zhuang Yichen. The big man next to him immediately aimed his gun at Zhuang Yichen's head. Zhuang Yichen said lightly, the ropes on their hands are not very tight. You can use this knife to cut the ropes on their hands. 10 seconds. Zhuang Yifeng paused and smiled sinisterly. If I can't save them, the bullets in my hand will run even faster. I hope that you can take both of them down in 10 seconds. That way, I won't owe you a life. Xiaoya thought that she was not afraid of death. After all, she had already died once. She had earned every day since she came back from the grasslands. However, Zhuang Yichen was the man she loved. Her lips trembled. Yichen. I still want to give birth to a son for you. She remembered that he had said that she would give birth until she had a son because he had a lot of family businesses. Just as Xiaoya finished speaking, Exian Man's voice, which was 10 meters away, was much louder than hers. She screamed when she saw the hope of survival. Yichen, you can't leave me alone. You said that you would take care of me for the rest of my life. Xiaoya's heart sank. For the rest of her life. Zhuang Yichen had never promised to take care of her for the rest of her life. He didn't say anything when they got married. From the beginning to the end, he only said that he would marry her. Giving her a wedding, giving her a company, giving her shares for the rest of her life. These words were really nice to hear. Begin. Just as Zhuang Yifeng shouted. The corners of Xiaoya's lips slowly curled up. She watched as the man she loved held a gleaming knife in his hand. He lifted his long legs and jumped onto the pavilion's veranda. He took a big step forward and leaped several meters. His movements were as agile as a cheetah that was hunting in the wind. He rushed out as fast as lightning, but ran in another direction without any hesitation. She saw him jump up and cut the rope that bound Exian Man. His movements were clean and beautiful. She smiled. He was so skillful, just like a professional killer. Seeing Exian Man fall to the ground, she closed her eyes in despair. It turned out that it didn't matter whether they got married or not. What mattered was whether that person had you in his heart. Xiaoya knew that she was starting to be greedy again. She was a woman who didn't know how to be content. She had money and wanted someone. She wanted a marriage. She wanted a marriage and wanted only her in his heart. The last time in the swamp, she thought that she was going to die. Her wish was to tell him that she loved him. Now that she knew that she was going to die, her wish was to ask him if he had ever loved her. You're so fast. Haha. But there are still 5 seconds left. Zhuang Yifeng's wild voice sounded. Xiaoya didn't want to open her eyes, but just as she was counting in her heart, a police siren suddenly sounded. It was a very close distance. The police siren had attracted the attention of the people in the pavilion. Something like a grenade was thrown towards the pavilion. Everyone was shocked. There's a police officer. Retreat to a safe distance. But it was just a smokescreen. The silver Bugatti's accelerator was pushed to the limit. It wasn't far from the pavilion and now it was rushing towards Xiaoya's pavilion. Gunshots were heard. The pavilion suddenly fell, and Xiaoya fell to the ground with it. Her body was covered in mud. The car's steering wheel and accelerator were in perfect sync, blocking the direction of the gun in the pavilion. Zhuang Yifeng cursed. How the F***ck did you guys search? The police siren sounded happily. Zhuang Yifeng's men wanted to fight because their car was parked in the direction of the police siren. They couldn't run away. While they hesitated, another smoke grenade was thrown, completely blocking the view of the people outside the pavilion. But the police siren was still there. Zhuang Yifeng realized that he had been fooled. They didn't shoot. Chase. We must kill Zhuang Yichen here. When they chased out, the Bugatti was nowhere to be seen. After searching around, they realized that the police siren was just a waterproof loudspeaker in the grass. It should have been thrown by Zhuang Yichen's men. Damn it. Didn't we check just now? Why is there someone in his car? How dare you trick me? Zhuang Yifeng was so angry that he roared. He reached out and slapped the man beside him. His men naturally didn't dare to say anything and lowered their heads. We did check just now. There was nothing in the car. There were a few small boxes in the trunk. We opened them all. There were no weapons or people. We even opened a pair of shoe boxes. Zhuang Yichen spat fiercely. You can't possibly hide her under the chassis of the car, right? As soon as he said that, he was shocked. Damn it. He must have hidden someone under the car. I was wondering why he didn't drive an off-road vehicle with a high chassis. Was he afraid that I would find out? The Bugatti is spacious. You guys put all your energy into the car. The person driving Zhuang Yichen's car was very small, but his facial features were like an adult's. His head was just above the steering wheel. He stepped on the accelerator and stretched his body. He looked like he was using a lot of strength to pull his body. He looked forward, but his movements were practiced and his expression was relaxed. It was a skinny dwarf. The dwarf acted as if nothing had happened and said arrogantly, "Boss, remember me if you have a job like this next time." The car was spacious. Zhuang Yichen placed Xian Man, who was shot in the arm and back, on the back seat. His eyes were cold as he said coldly to the dwarf driving, "There won't be a next time." Xiaoya sat in the corner of the car door. She looked at Zhuang Yichen, who was also covered in mud like her, turning over the tourniquet in the car. Her face was full of tears. Zhuang Yichen looked up and saw Little Ye's appearance. A light flashed across his eyes. He looked at the dwarf in the front row, then turned back and reached out to touch Little Ye's face. Her face was covered in tears, and her body was still wet. He propped himself up and leaned over, kissing her face. "Little demon, sleep for a while. We'll be there soon." Xiaoya said faintly, "It's too cold. I can't sleep." Zhuang Yichen did not have Xiaoya's clothes in the car. They were all soaked and could only urge the dwarf to drive faster. Zhuang Yichen invited a doctor to the villa in the suburbs. Xian Man's job of removing the bullet was also carried out in the villa. Xiaoya could not get close to Zhuang Yichen at all. He took a shower and changed his clothes. He was downstairs with a serious expression. The doctor examined Xiaoya. Xiaoya shook her head. "I'm not injured. I just need a hot bath." The maid quickly went to prepare hot water for Xiaoya. She looked worried. Xiaoya did not look for Zhuang Yichen. She went back to her room and lay in the bathtub, motionless. Zhuang Yichen returned to the study. Li Yong followed him in. Zhuang Yichen was holding an electronic sensor in his hand. Li Yong took it and scanned every corner of the study. Then, he said, I'm the only one who can enter the study. There shouldn't be any bugs installed. Okay. Zhuang Yichen collapsed on the sofa. He had been nervous the whole night. Now that he relaxed, his hands on the sofa began to tremble. Li Yong's heart ached. He quickly poured a cup of hot tea for him and handed it to him. The lid on the teacup was still closed and it made a clattering sound. Young master, you usually don't get into such a fight with Zhuang Yichen. Why is it that this time, a cornered dog will do something desperate? Zhuang Yichen lifted the lid of the teacup. He felt as if his mouth, throat, stomach, and all his senses had turned cold. Thus, when he took a sip of the freshly brewed tea, he did not feel that it was too hot at all. He placed the teacup on the coffee table in front of him. His gaze only fell on the teacup. Uncle Li, get more people to guard the villa for the next few days. Li Yong nodded. Young master, will Miss Xian be sitting here? Or will we have another place to stay? Zhuang Yichen's eyes darkened. Arrange for it to be here. Especially her. Get more people to watch over her. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 767. Li Yong asked again, what about young madam? Zhuang Yichen rubbed his chin and thought for a long time. Tomorrow morning, Jiang Zhao called. How's it going? I got her back, but Xian man is also there. She was shot. Brother Zhao, you can't get involved in this matter anymore. Otherwise, you'll be implicated. It's not appropriate to call the police. I asked the dwarf Golden Thimble for help. If we call the police, we'll be exposed. What about Zhuang Yifeng? Ever since the incident in the third episode, Zhuang Yifeng has been appearing and disappearing unpredictably. He's probably desperate now. We can't fight with him openly. Go to bed early. I won't contact you for the time being. Jiang Zhao was silent for a while. Okay, be careful. After Zhuang Yichen hung up the phone, he stood up and looked at the closed door. He put his hand on his head and rubbed it. He gritted his teeth and cursed under his breath. Damn it. Xian man was originally on the first floor. Zhuang Yichen walked around the room a few times and went downstairs. He said to the servant, after Xian man's surgery is done, ask the doctor if she can be moved upstairs. The room upstairs is more comfortable. It's also much warmer. Only after the servants agreed with him did he turn around and go upstairs. Young master. Li Yong called out carefully and followed him. Will young madam think too much? Zhuang Yichen walked quickly into the study. Li Yong closed the door behind him. Zhuang Yichen opened the laptop on the desk. Uncle Li, after Xian man is sent up, send her to my bedroom. Tonight, you'll have to work hard. No one is allowed to go upstairs. If I need to call the doctor, I'll have to trouble you. I don't trust anyone downstairs. It's not impossible to send her to your bedroom, but young madam. Uncle Li, there's a mole in this house. Zhuang Yichen sat in front of the desk. Li Yong wasn't calm either. Young master, what should we do next? Zhuang Yichen shook his head. He went online, opened his email, and started to write an email. Halfway through, he raised his head. Only in front of Li Yong could he show his fatigue. Uncle Li, go down and keep an eye on the surgery. Come up every 10 minutes. Do this whether I'm still in the study room or not. Thank you for your hard work. Li Yong didn't ask for the reason. He did as Zhuang Yichen said. I'll go down now. All right. Zhuang Yichen typed the email, sent it out, and turned off his computer. He stood up, a stone weighing down on his heart. He stood in the same spot and thought for a long time. He walked around the room a few times. He wanted to kick everything in the room. After calming himself down, he walked out of the study and went through the corridor. When he returned to the bedroom, he panicked when he saw that Xiaoya was not on the bed. The bathroom door wasn't closed. He rushed over. Xiaoya felt warm all over. It was so warm that she wanted to sleep. It was like being in Zhuang Yichen's arms. He hugged her tightly and she used his body as an oven to warm herself up. However, he tightened his grip on her until she couldn't breathe. She wanted to escape, but he grabbed her neck. She saw his fierce gaze and his eyes were bloodshot. He looked like a hungry beast. She started to kick him with all her might. She couldn't kick him. Everything was in vain. She wanted to cry. She wanted to ask him why he was treating her like this. Did he love her? Did he not have any feelings at all? Otherwise, how could he be so ruthless? She started to give up struggling. Zhuang Yichen's heart tightened when he saw Xiaoya submerged in the bathtub. He bent down and scooped her out of the water. Xiaoya's entire body was drenched, and Zhuang Yichen was drenched. He placed her on the bed and began to press his hand on her chest to relieve the water. When Xiaoya woke up, she found that she had vomited water on the bed. Zhuang Yichen heaved a sigh of relief and sat on the bed. He reprimanded her, "Can you bathe with your eyes open? What's the difference between dying a little later and dying a little earlier?" Xiaoya sat on the bed. She was still naked. She wrapped a towel around her body. The room was air-conditioned. She walked barefoot on the wooden floor and walked into the bathroom. Zhuang Yichen heard the sound of the hairdryer coming from the bathroom. He knew that he didn't sound good, but he was really frightened just now. Xiaoya returned to the room. Her hair was already dry. She changed into her nightgown and changed the wet sheets. Zhuang Yichen looked around the room cautiously. He didn't feel safe anywhere. He thought carefully. What should he do? He might not be able to find Zhuang Yifeng if he took the initiative. He had to let him find him. Zhuang Yichen took the electronic sensor from the study and scanned the entire room. Xiaoya shouted, "Zhuang!" Zhuang Yichen turned around and put his index finger to his lips. He didn't make a sound and only gestured for her to keep quiet. Xiaoya was stunned and swallowed her words. Usually, his bedroom was cleaned by Li Yong and the maids. He thought that no one would dare to do anything in front of Li Yong. As expected, nothing suspicious appeared in the room. But now, he felt that he was under Zhuang Yifeng's surveillance. This feeling was too strong. He and Zhuang Yifeng could be said to be fighting to the death in business. Xiaoya went to work every day either with him or with the chauffeur at home. She would wait for him to pick her up after work. Recently, he had been enjoying this kind of life. It felt like he was in a relationship. This kind of routine was actually very safe. Xiaoya wanted to ask Zhuang Yichen for an explanation, but seeing him sitting on the floor in a daze, she didn't dare to interrupt him. After a while, Zhuang Yichen waved at Xiaoya. "Come here." Although Xiaoya felt uncomfortable, she still passed. Zhuang Yichen was still sitting on the floor. He pulled Xiaoya into his arms and started to kiss her. He kissed all the places his lips could reach. "Xiaoyao," he said in a low voice. "You scared me to death." Xiaoya's heart trembled. Zhuang Yichen said that he was scared to death. Would he be scared? She will get better. When she said this, she didn't know what she felt in her heart. It was very painful. Zhuang Yichen caressed her shoulder. Her wrist was still scarred by the rope, and she had not applied any ointment. Xiaoya didn't want to apply medicine. She felt that she would get better. In fact, she wanted to take a longer time to recover because Xian Man's injury was too serious. She didn't know what else could compare to Xian Man. Did all men like weak women? At this time, she wanted to pretend to be weak. But damn it, she was drenched in the cold rain for the whole night and didn't even sneeze. His gentle lips were kissing her wrist. "Xiaoyao, you blame me. I know. But if I went to save you, you would be the one injured now. Do you understand? I can't do that. Don't blame me. Xiaoya was in a daze. She let the man kiss her wound. After she broke free, she held his face and kissed him back. Zhuang Yichen only wanted to kiss her, but her kiss made him hotter and hotter. On the floor, she sat on top of him. She didn't even take off her nightgown. She pulled down his pants and used her softest and hottest part to devour his manhood. Xiaoya kissed Zhuang Yichen. Her body was moving. Her mouth and nose were overflowing with pleasure. But her heart was crying. The tears in her heart were like the rain at that time, falling endlessly. Why did he dare to make such a bet? Who knew if the bullet that was aimed at Enchanting man would hit her instead? The man's hand was on her waist. He held her waist tightly and increased the frequency of her movements. Then, he called her name hoarsely. A name that only he had called before. Xiaoyao. Waves of heat gushed out from their bodies, accompanied by the climax of the two of them. Li Yong went upstairs many times. After Zhuang Yichen came out of Xiaoya's body, he took a shower and went downstairs again. That night, Xiaoya didn't wait for Zhuang Yichen to come upstairs again. Xiaoya lay on the bed and did not sleep at all. Zhuang Yichen dragged a deck chair and stood guard outside Enchanting man's door. He covered himself with a blanket and slept. Zhuang Yichen was now in a villa in the suburbs. The environment was good. There were a few villas built around the lake. The greenery was excellent, and the villas couldn't see each other. The night after the rain was quiet, but Zhuang Yichen would always lift the blanket and stand up. He walked through the corridor and the living room to see what was happening outside. He turned back to look at the door that was still closed because of the surgery. After a moment of silence, he lay down on the chair again. Li Yong didn't sleep a wink either. He came back from outside and changed his muddy shoes before entering the house. He bent down beside Zhuang Yichen's chair and whispered into his ear for a long time. Zhuang Yichen frowned. Enchanting man's surgery ended in the morning. When she woke up, it was already 2 days later. However, on the 4th day after Enchanting man woke up, she got into a conflict with Xiaoya. This commotion alarmed almost all the servants in the villa. In this villa, except for Li Yong, everyone called Zhuang Yichen, Sir. Now, the servants living in the villa behind the main villa were all talking about how Sir carried Miss Enchanting into his bedroom and slept with his wife. The two women shared a husband, and his wife couldn't stand it and made a scene. When night fell, Enchanting man leaned against the headboard of the bed. Zhuang Yichen sat by the bed, holding a bowl of ginseng soup in his hand and feeding Enchanting man. A servant stood at the door. Little Ya also stood there. She looked, and her eyes seemed to have been smoked. They were hot, sore, and painful. Zhuang Yichen, this man, had never treated her like this. She knew that the servants behind her were all laughing at her. Her husband's ex-girlfriend was sleeping on her bed, and she wasn't allowed to make a scene. Zhuang Yichen. What do you want? She's your sister-in-law. Xiaoya, you can stay downstairs. Zhuang Yichen said lightly. Xiaoya felt that if she was a person who was cultivating her inner strength in ancient times, she would definitely die from the backlash. This is my room. You're asking me to leave? The servants behind Xiaoya didn't leave, and no one dared to stop her. At this moment, Enchanting man gently pushed Zhuang Yichen's bowl. Yichen, I don't want to drink anymore. I want to go to the window and get some fresh air. Okay, I'll help you up. Awesome novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 768. Zhuang Yichen had never been so obedient to anyone in front of the servants. Even if it was Xiaoya, if they wanted to be intimate, they couldn't do it in the presence of others. At this moment, some of the servants gasped. Xiaoya's fists were clenched tightly by her side. Enchanting man was indeed a woman with strong inner strength. She could ignore anyone and only had eyes for Zhuang Yichen. Her hand was still in a sling, but she wanted to get off the bed and walk around. Zhuang Yichen helped her to the window. Yichen, look, it's already so late. Why don't we let everyone rest? I want to stay here and watch the moon with you. Okay. Zhuang Yichen didn't even turn his head. He just stood by the window with Enchanting Man in his arms. You all go to sleep. Xiaoya, you can stay downstairs. Xiaoya gritted her teeth and said, okay. Okay, she'll go downstairs and get the fruit knife from the living room downstairs. She'll kill this shameless adulterous couple. She didn't want to quarrel anymore. There was no point in quarreling. In front of the large window, the curtains were drawn. The moon was bright and clear in the sky. Enchanting Man was intoxicated in Zhuang Yichen's arms. Yichen, I feel so good now. I can finally lean in your arms like this. Okay. Zhuang Yichen had a smile on his face. When he looked down at Enchanting Man, his face was gentle. I'll get you a cup of hot water to warm your hands. When Enchanting Man heard this, her face lit up with a satisfied smile. When Zhuang Yichen finished pouring the water, Xiaoya hadn't come downstairs yet. She just stood there in a daze. Her body trembled as she watched Zhuang Yichen lower his head to pour the water. The curtains of the large windows in the bedroom were drawn. It was like a movie was playing in the room. Some people were happy, while others were sad. Zhuang Yichen turned around and walked towards Enchanting Man. Xiao Man, water. Xiaoya saw a whole row of skincare products on her dressing table. She felt that the glass of the toner bottle must be very thick. She wanted to use that bottle as a stick to beat Enchanting Man to death. If she didn't die and broke the bottle, she would stab the glass shards into her body. Taking 2 steps at a time, Xiaoya walks to the dressing table without even getting angry. When Zhuang Yichen and Enchanting Man are 3 steps away, the sound of glass being broken by a sharp weapon is heard. Xiao Man, be careful. It was the sound of the soft body smashing into the ground. Xiaoya was shocked. When she turned around, the cup had already fallen to the ground, spreading a large puddle of water. Zhuang Yichen was already on top of Enchanting Man. The bullet had already hit the wall inside. Ye slept on top of the bed. Xiaoya, get down. Zhuang Yichen shouted anxiously. Xiaoya smiled bitterly. In the end, she couldn't take it anymore and leaned against the glass window. She wanted to laugh, but it was so painful that her voice became hoarse. Zhuang Yichen, where do you put me? I'm your wife. Her body slowly slid down, and there were no more gunshots. She didn't hate him for not saving her time and time again. She hated him for saving Enchanting Man time and time again. She hated him for risking his life to save Enchanting Man. Enchanting Man was already injured. Now that she was pushed to the ground by Zhuang Yichen, her wound was bleeding profusely again. In just a moment, the whole villa was in an uproar again. Xiaoya was Zhuang Yichen's wife, but none of the servants cared about her. After closing the curtains, they started to treat the injured Enchanting Man. Zhuang Yichen carried Enchanting Man into the study room. This side was facing the backyard, so there was no way to hide a gun. Xiaoya didn't care that the doctor wanted to stop Enchanting Man's bleeding and smashed the study room. She rushed in and smashed the hemostatic forceps, sutures, scissors, and gauze on the tray. She overturned the hanging infusion rack on the ground. She had short hair and wouldn't be messy. But now, she knew that she must be as messy as a ghost. Sir, madam is like this. The doctor was in a dilemma. Enchanting Man was bleeding profusely on the sofa, but Xiaoya was too scary. She smashed everything she saw. She just cried and didn't make a sound. Although the servants looked down on Xiaoya, since the head of the family was here, Xiaoya was like an abandoned wife. But no one dared to stand out and stop her. Zhuang Yichen frowned deeply. He looked at the people in the room and then took a deep breath. His eyes suddenly became as sharp as a knife. He shouted at Xiaoya, "Little demon Xiao. Get out." "I don't want to." Xiaoya's shout scared everyone. Her voice was too loud, but it was sad. "Why should I get out?" "All of you." Xiaoya's back was facing Enchanting Man, but she pointed at her and looked at the servants. Throw this woman out of the house. Lilia felt that her heart was about to split open. How could she accept such a heartless and unscrupulous man? Although she had never done anything for him, she didn't do anything to let him down. How could he treat her like this? She had only been married to him for a month. She had only been a bride for a month, but she was like an abandoned wife. What right did he have to torture her like this? The only thing he had was her love for him. Zhuang Yichen. What do you want? I'm your wife. Xian man is your wife. Aren't you a clean freak? If you care about her so much, why did you agree to marry me? Have you ever cared about me? Have you ever liked me? Zhuang Yichen, I love you, but I don't ask you to love me. Have you ever liked me? Just a little. Xiaoya had never thought of herself as a phoenix, but at this moment, when she thought of a phoenix crying blood, it must be like her. Every time she said a sentence, her heart would bleed, and it would fill her throat with sweetness. She felt that the tears that flowed out of her eyes were sticky and reeked of blood. She really wanted to ask him in front of all the servants here. She wanted to make it clear that he liked her before. Miss Chiu. Xian man seemed to be enduring great pain. Yichen married you just to let Zhuang Yifeng's attention fall on you. It was just to protect me. Xiaoya didn't look back, but she trembled even more. She looked at Zhuang Yichen. She wanted to look into his eyes, but she couldn't. She saw that his fists were clenched by his side, and she could see that his joints were pale. Xiaoya looked at Zhuang Yichen. She smiled bleakly. Is what this woman said true? Zhuang Yichen frowned and sighed. Go downstairs. I'm asking you, is it true? Go down. Is it true? Xian man's weak voice barged in again, breaking the hysteria of the two. Yichen said that after this, time passes and Zhuang Yifeng's matter is settled, he will divorce you and marry me. Xiaoya didn't want to cover her mouth, but she still did. She felt that she was the strong Qiu Xiaoya. She couldn't cry like this. In front of the people of High City, she had always been the strong Qiu Xiaoya, the cold and elegant Qiu Xiaoya, the Qiu Xiaoya with a straight back, the Qiu Xiaoya who was not afraid of rumors and slanders, the Qiu Xiaoya who could enjoy herself even if she relied on a man to get to the top. Crying belonged to the weak. Crying looked like a resentful woman. At that time, she had scolded Yi Er that tears were worthless. But she couldn't help it. She couldn't help but cry secretly. Now, in front of so many people, the servants were laughing at her, the doctors were disdainful of her, and so many people were looking down on her, she could only cry desperately. It wasn't enough. She reached out and covered her mouth, wanting to block all the sounds into her mouth and swallow them. She swallowed them into her stomach, lungs, and cells. It was fine as long as those sounds didn't come out. But she couldn't block them. She didn't cry like this even when she was trapped in the swamp. These two trampled on her. They used her. Zhuang Yichen, this trampled on her. He dared to lie to her like this. Zhuang Yichen. She called out his name, but it was unclear. You want to divorce me and marry that woman? Xiaoya's voice was choked in her throat. After a long time, she finally spoke in a trembling voice. Don't even think about it. Zhuang Yichen. You're AF * king bastard. Xiaoya felt that her mind was collapsing. She couldn't hold back her tears anymore. She was wearing slippers, so she was shorter than Zhuang Yichen. At this moment, her chest was slightly lowered, making her seem even weaker. She reached out and covered her chest. She wanted to grab the threads in her chest and pull them, but she couldn't grab them. Instead, she pulled until the threads broke. Zhuang Yichen, you lied to me. What did I, Xiaoya, do to you? Why are you lying to me? Zhuang Yichen slowly retracted his ruthless aura. His gaze became colder and colder. In the end, he raised his arms, making his posture look incomparably lazy. Little demon Xiu, what did you do to me? Do you think I don't know? Do you think I don't know that you came to me because my eyes look like Kang Eun's? Is that right? Because you were abandoned by Kang Eun, you want to find someone who looks like him to be a substitute, right? Even if it's a prostitute, you're still willing to find someone who has similar characteristics to him, right? Xiaoya was stunned. Then, her body trembled. Just as she was completely distracted, the doctor started to treat Exian man's wound again. Zhuang Yichen saw that Xiaoya was in a daze. His eyes narrowed slightly. The fists in his arms were tightly clenched. Are you admitting to it? Xiaoya didn't say anything. The air was very quiet. It was so quiet that only Exian man's moans could be heard because of the pain from the wound that had reopened. She looked into Zhuang Yichen's eyes. For a very long time. Zhuang Yichen also noticed that Xiaoya was looking at him. He generously allowed his eyes to meet hers. Xiaoya slowly stopped crying. Her tears slowly stopped moving forward. How did you know? Zhuang Yichen clenched his fists even tighter. Kang Eun and I are right there. Anyone with a discerning eye can see it. How else do you need to know? But you shouldn't ask this now. Go downstairs. Don't affect Xiao Man's wound. Are you really going to divorce me because of her? Xiaoya asked again. I'll talk to you about this when Xiao Man's wound is better. I don't have time now. Xiaoya's dried up tears started to moisten again. Yichen. She called out these two words with a humble begging tone. Even when she forced him to get married, she also said that they would break up if they didn't get married. She had always been so tough. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 769. But at this time, she began to put down her fake pride and started to beg in front of him. Yichen, I've been with you for 4 years. No, 4.5 years, right? She took 2 steps forward and tugged at the sleeve on his arm. When she touched his sturdy arm, she leaned her face against his chest and listened to his heartbeat. She said softly, even though we didn't even have a meal or supper together in private in the past, even though you wouldn't visit me for 10 days or half a month, even though you didn't even take the initiative to pick out a gift for me and let Uncle Lee do it for you, and it was only once on my birthday. But it's been more than 4 years. Other people fall in love and get married in half a year or a year. 4 years together is equivalent to half a year or a year for other people, right? What's more, we've been together almost every day for the past few months. Yichen, even if you're a block of ice, shouldn't you have melted? I'm also a block of ice. I've melted. Why haven't you melted? She thought that after losing Kang Eun, she would become ice. But now she felt that she wasn't ice. She had melted into water and was flowing out from the small hole in her lower eyelid. He pushed her away. If Xiao Man hadn't married Zhuang Yifeng, do you think you would still have a share? These bone-chilling words were undoubtedly like a vicious knife to the current little Ya. I'm going downstairs. You're not rational now. I won't talk to you. Xiaoya decided to take a step back. It wasn't easy for her to hold on to the identity of Mrs. Zhuang for 4 years. How could she give it up? How many more years did she have? No one went downstairs with Xiaoya. The servants were all fighting to curry favor with Zhuang Yichen's new favorite. They all said that they were willing to stay overnight with Miss Exian. She was so badly injured, and they were afraid that Miss Exian would be in danger again. But everyone knew that the study was facing the back of the villa, which was the direction of the servants' building. The view was very wide, and if there was any abnormality, they would be the first to notice. But even so, the servants were still willing to stay here and ask for credit from Zhuang Yichen. Zhuang Yichen kept holding Exian Man's hand and comforting her not to be afraid because he was here. What Exian Man said the most was, Yichen, it's so good to have you around. Such a scene could be written into a sensational romance novel. Several servants were moved to tears. They felt that this was true love. Sir actually married Madame for Miss Exian. Although Madame was not favored, she was really pitiful. No one in the house had ever seen Madame cry like today. It was simply too shocking. Zhuang Yichen was the only one talking in the 90-square-meter study room. He kept giving orders to his subordinates, and even Li Yong couldn't get a word in. Go and light Viney's favorite incense. It has to be calming. Move this sofa away and bring in a bed. The mattress can't be too soft, but the pillow must be soft. Xiao Man likes soft pillows. Bring a basin of hot water over. Just don't let the water temperature be around 40 degrees. Get a glass of warm water. Put 2 slices of lemon and a pear in it. Viney likes to drink this kind of water. Xiaoya was downstairs in the guest room. She didn't sleep. She just sat on the bed and listened to the servants running up and down the corridor. She sat quietly and didn't feel irritated. She was waiting for dawn. When dawn came, there might be another way. Although she never understood Zhuang Yichen, she clearly knew that she loved him. It didn't matter if she understood or not. She loved him. But how could she be such a person? She was abandoned by Kang Yun and swore that she wouldn't love him anymore. Now, she actually fell in love with another person. Was she born fickle? She loved Kang Yun to such an extent. At that time, she was sad every day. She wanted to commit suicide, to die, to never say love again. But now, she fell in love with another person. She loved so painfully and so passionately. Was she too fickle or too devoted? She should be fickle, right? Only a devoted person would love only one person for a lifetime. She loved someone so much that she would want to die if she left him. Just like how she used to love Kang Yun. Now, her heart was broken because of Zhuang Yichen. Xiaoya was thinking. If Zhuang Yichen wanted to divorce her, what should she do? Many years later, could she fall in love with another person again? Would that person still abandon her? This was Xiaoya. She was still thinking about the future at this time. She smiled. She could wait until the future. She was about to be defeated now. She wasn't afraid of Xian Man. She was afraid that Zhuang Yichen didn't care about her at all. If that was the case, even if Xian Man didn't do anything, she would still die. No wonder people said that a woman could conquer the world only by conquering a man. She couldn't even conquer a man now. The next morning, Xiaoya waited until the first ray of light shone in from the window. It was dawn. She was still sitting on the edge of the bed. At this time, she stood up and opened the door. She walked past the living room and went upstairs. The villa was very quiet. The door of the study was open. The door was stuck to the wall. It was probably to make it easier for the servants to come in and out. They were afraid that opening and closing the door would disturb the patient. The layout of the study was very strange. Because the sofa had been moved away and there was a bed. There were 2 people sleeping on the bed. Their hands were outside the blanket and they were holding each other. Xiaoya gritted her teeth and clenched her fists. Her body was trembling. She walked over and walked to the place where Xian Man was sleeping. It was because of this woman that she ruined the fruit that she had cultivated for more than 4 years. Her mind was getting more and more muddled. She took a square pillow from the bed. When she held it in her hands, her palms were full of sweat. When she covered Xian Man's face, she used all her strength. She said in her heart, "Qiu Xiaoya, you are a vicious female supporting character. No matter how much you love that man, he won't love you. You can't be the female lead. Then be vicious to the end and kill this weak female lead. Let everyone hate you. Kill this weak and lovable female lead. Let everyone curse you." Xian Man squeezed Zhuang Yichen's hand tightly. She kept struggling and kicking off the blanket. Her heels were rubbing against the bed, but she couldn't resist. Zhuang Yichen opened his eyes. When he saw the scene before him, he exclaimed, "Little demon Qiu. Let go of me." The servants rushed into the room one after another. Zhuang Yichen wanted to pull Xiaoya away, but Xiaoya turned around and bit him. She was still holding the pillow in her hand, trying to choke Enchanting Man to death. Pia. A slap landed heavily on Xiaoya's face. She was slapped to the center of the room. When she landed on the ground, her head hit the coffee table. There was a metallic taste in her mouth. Zhuang Yichen shouted, "Doctor! Doctor!" When Xiaoya smiled, there was blood at the corner of her mouth. She lifted her chin and looked at Zhuang Yichen, who was shouting for the doctor to give Enchanting Man oxygen. Before she could stand up, Zhuang Yichen shouted at her angrily, "How dare you try to kill Xiao Man? Get out of here right now. Uncle Li, throw Xiaoya out of this house. Let her go back to her own home. That's her maiden home." Xiaoya supported herself with her hands on the ground. "You're chasing me out? You're a crazy woman." Zhuang Yichen sat on the edge of the bed. He hugged Enchanting Man and patted her back. "Don't let me see you. Get out. Zhuang Yichen, you hit me." When Xiaoya said this, she was smiling and tearing up. She took a breath. "Zhuang Yichen, you said that you don't spend women's money. You said that you're a gentleman in front of the women you're intimate with. You said that you're no match for the women you've been intimate with. Zhuang Yichen, I'm intimate with you too, aren't I? But you hit me, didn't you? It turns out that I don't even have an intimate relationship with you." Xiaoya exhaled, "Anyway, Enchanting Man and I, if she doesn't die, I'll die. Are you going to protect her like this?" Zhuang Yichen didn't even think about it. He was still supporting Enchanting Man with one hand while the doctor pinched her philtrum. "Get out of here right now. It's harder to guard against you than against Zhuang Yifeng." "Guard against me? You're actually guarding against me? You've never been in charge of your family business. You've never needed to guard against me. Now, you're guarding against me because of Enchanting Man?" Xiaoya thought, "Zhuang Yichen, you'd better kill me. What's the difference between this and death?" He pulled her up from the position of the underground prostitute to the position of Mrs. Zhuang. But now, he gave her a kick. He wanted to kick her down and pull Enchanting Man up to the position of Mrs. Zhuang. His kick was going to take her life. Even if it took her life, he had to do it. "I'm still guarding against Zhuang Yifeng. At least he can't enter this house. But you, living here is like a bomb. Xiao Man can be killed by you at any time. Immediately. Move out." Zhuang Yichen's words were merciless. A servant finally dared to mock her. She said that she was thick-skinned. She still had the face to stay in this house after being scolded by Mr. Zhuang Yichen. Didn't she see that Miss Enchanting was taller and more beautiful than her? She was also a lady from a respectable family. Unlike her, she was a woman who relied on Mr. Zhuang Yichen to get to the top. After all, Miss Enchanting's father was a businessman. She could be considered to be part of a small wealthy family. What was she? She was a woman who helped others make clothes. Miss Enchanting and Mr. Zhuang Yichen had been together for many years. He married her just to protect Miss Enchanting. "Zhuang Yichen, don't you have anything to say?" Apart from asking her to move out, did he have nothing else to say? Zhuang Yichen sneered, "You almost suffocated Xiao Man to death. What else do you want me to say?" "Well, don't let me see her. Otherwise, I'll kill her with a knife." Xiaoya's eyes fell on Enchanting Man's pale face. She believed that if she had a little more time, she could kill this woman. It was true. She would only feel better if she killed Enchanting Man. She had never killed anyone before. But just now, when she put the pillow on Enchanting Man's face and saw her struggling, her heart was filled with emotions. She was no longer afraid. Zhuang Yichen's eyes darkened. "It seems. I should have thrown you out earlier." "Thrown?" Xiaoya stood up and slightly tilted her head. Her eyes curved into crescents. "So it's an object?" "Uncle Li!" Zhuang Yichen shouted. Li Yong quickly entered the study. He glanced at Xiaoya indifferently. "Young master." Xiaoya looked at Li Yong. They were really master and servant. When Zhuang Yichen was good to her, Li Yong was very respectful to her. After Zhuang Yichen had a bad opinion of her because of Xian Man, Li Yong's attitude was the same as Zhuang Yichen's. He led all the servants in the house to despise her. This was the power of power. Zhuang Yichen looked at Li Yong and said angrily, "Download a divorce agreement online and write her a check. Don't say that I, Zhuang Yichen, treat women badly." Li Yong seemed to be in a difficult position. He said respectfully, "Young master, young madam has been with you for a long time. You two got along well before. Her temper is just a little bad now. She will get along well with Miss Xian in the future. Why don't we just forget about the divorce?" "Forget about it?" Zhuang Yichen glared at Xiaoya. She almost suffocated Xiao Man with the pillow just now. If I hadn't been worried about Xiao Man's safety and stayed here to watch over her, Xiao Man would be a dead woman now. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 770. Li Yong was shocked. He turned his head and saw Xiaoya's calm and disdainful smile. He frowned and said, "Young madam, why don't you apologize to Miss Xian?" Xiaoya smiled and said, "Apologize? Shouldn't they be the ones apologizing to me?" Even the person whom Zhuang Yichen relied on the most was biased towards Xian Man. Someone in the house tried to persuade Xiaoya, "Madam, why don't you apologize to Miss Xian?" Miss Xian was also shocked, and just now she had a close brush with death. Yixia was worse than him. Zhuang Yichen interrupted coldly, "Who allowed you to call her madam?" The servant was stunned and quickly shut her mouth. "Uncle Li. Go. Download the divorce agreement now and ask her to get lost. She doesn't know what's good for her." Xiaoya stood there and watched as Xiao Yong went out. She did not move. "Zhuang Yichen, you hit me. Aren't you going to apologize? When we got married, we made a vow. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning?" Zhuang Yichen asked, "When you wanted to suffocate Xiao Man with a pillow, did you think about being struck by lightning?" Xiaoya said, "I thought about it. I thought about whether you would still recognize me when I was struck by lightning." Xiaoya's voice choked. She paused for a long time and forced herself to suppress her emotions. "Zhuang Yichen, I don't know how much Xian Man loves you. I also don't know how much you two loved each other in the past. I also know that I don't have anything to give. You have everything. You don't lack anything. You don't lack women. What else can I give you?" "Nothing." At this point, Xiaoya suddenly had an idea. Xian Man had always been by Zhuang Yichen's side. What was she to him? "Actually, in your eyes, I'm just a materialistic woman who is content with enjoying life, right? I can't compare to Xian Man. She must have helped you a lot after marrying Zhuang Yichen. What can I give you? How can I help you? I've been by your side all these years. Other than letting you make me famous and let me earn more money, what have I done for you? How can I compare to her? She helped you defeat Zhuang Yifeng." Xiaoya wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She raised her head and looked at the ceiling. There was a chandelier above her head. It was very old and had a design and color from decades ago. She had once asked him why he had placed such an old lamp in this villa. He had said that he was actually a nostalgic person and that this lamp was his mother's favorite when she was alive. His mother had always been a taboo topic for him. She didn't dare to ask, but she thought that Xian Man must know. Who was she? After following a man for more than 4 years, she didn't even know anything. She only knew that in the end, she was tortured by all kinds of things until her heart and soul were broken. She blinked hard and didn't want to cry anymore. She really didn't want to. Not only did he hit her, he even told her to get lost. When she looked at Zhuang Yichen again, her eyes were as clear as a mirror and her voice was calm and indifferent. "You need her more than you need me. I just realized that I don't know anything about you. I love you so much. Until now, when I think about it, I still don't know what I love about you." Love your money? Don't you know that I have no lack of rich people pursuing me? I love your appearance. But is Kang Yin worse than you? Don't I have a tall, rich, and handsome man by my side? Zhuang Yichen, what do I love about you? Love that you didn't accompany me in the past? Didn't care about me? Ignored me? Didn't take care of me? Let me think, I really have a tendency to torture myself. There are so many men in the world, you're not the only one. Why should I love you? You don't love me anyway. But even so, when I was in the swamp, I still wanted to tell you that I love you. After Zhuang Yijin caught me, I knew that he wanted to threaten you. From the bottom of my heart, I never hoped that you would save me. I didn't want you to go, you'd be dead if you went. I thought that you could find a woman and give birth to a son. You have so many assets, you have to have someone to inherit them. But you went, you didn't do it to save me. Xiaoye paused and continued, Zhuang Yichen, there's always a limit to hurting people, right? It doesn't matter if you marry me or don't love me. You just have to live a good life with me. I just want a normal relationship between husband and wife. You're so rich, and I'm not an old-fashioned woman. Do you really think that I'm not fresh enough and want to have a woman outside? If no one finds out, I won't do anything. I won't investigate you. After all, there are no fish in clear water. But you moved a woman into your house and cared for her in such a way. You're insulting me, do you know that? Do you think that I've been making a deal with you for money and sex from the very beginning? So, you never needed to respect me, right? Xiaoye shook her head. Forget it. What's the point of arguing with you about this? You went to save her without a care in the world. At the critical moment, you were willing to throw me into the rain as a target. When we got home, you even put her in our bedroom so that you could see her more easily. Yesterday, you didn't care about your own safety and took a bullet for her. Now, you're with her the whole night. You're guarding her like this, and even I can't get close to her. After some time, when she recovers, my bed will be hers too. You can have it. I don't want it anymore. When Li Yong came in, he saw that some of the servants' eyes were red. Zhuang Yichen was only focused on looking at Xian Man's changes. The divorce agreement was first handed to Zhuang Yichen. He signed it without even looking at it. Xiaoye saw that he signed it without hesitation. She had said so much, but he was still indifferent. The agreement was handed to her. There were hard teaching materials on it so that she could sign it while standing. They had only been married for a month, and he had already told her to get lost in front of so many people. Men were indeed unreliable. Marriage was not a reliable thing to begin with. Why did she yearn for it so wholeheartedly? If she had always been his underground prostitute, things wouldn't have ended up like this today. She didn't look at the agreement. She signed beside Zhuang Yichen's signature. Xiaoye handed the signed agreement to Li Yong. She straightened her back and returned to her usual noble and cold self. Uncle Li, will we change the marriage certificate when we go out later? He probably doesn't have time to go. Why don't you come with me? You have so many connections. Maybe you can change the red book to a green one with just a call. I'll go and pack my things. Will you drive me there? Li Yong turned around and glanced at Zhuang Yichen. Uncle Li, go on my behalf. Xiao Man needs someone to take care of her now. Yes, young master. Xiaoye left the study room and returned to the bedroom where they had stayed before. She packed her clothes into an oversized suitcase. She moved very quickly, as if she needed to escape from the scene as quickly as possible. But the suitcase was the largest size at the airport, and there were still many gowns that couldn't fit in it. She didn't wear these gowns much. Most of them were small gowns that she would wear to work. But there were some that she had unknowingly made for herself in the past. In fact, she had always imagined that one day, Zhuang Yichen would bring her to some cocktail party. She should have made some preparations to showcase herself properly and not embarrass him. But now, it seemed that she didn't need to use it. These memories were really annoying and torturous. Just thinking about it made her heart tremble and hurt. It was as if all her veins were being twisted. It was so painful that she was about to die. Her scissors were big sharp scissors. She used them to make clothes. Those scissors were very heavy and the blade was very fast. When she ate the cloth into the blade, there was a kacha-kacha sound. The sound was a little crisp. Shaw. Zhuang Yichen also used the same scissors. It was so sharp that it cut her flesh. Cut by cut, until she was full of holes. She threw the gowns on the floor and squatted down. They were all cut into pieces. They were so broken that she couldn't wear them anymore. Then, it was Zhuang Yichen's clothes. His clothes were basically made by her. He always took care of her business. Even the lapels of his suit were made by her. The lapels rolled over the beautiful edges. She would fold the lapels into beautiful lapels and insert them into the breast pocket of his suit. Then, his lips curled up slightly. He looked at himself in the mirror and hugged her waist. He lowered his head and licked her earlobe. Miss Chio's handiwork is really good. I can pay more for these clothes. She cut the clothes, tie, and lapels that she made for him. They were all tattered. She held a light purple striped tie in her hand for a long time, unable to take it off. That was the first gift she had given him. Although she had made it, she had never received any money from him. It was a gift. At that time, she had been very busy ordering goods, and the company had received a batch of fabric. She thought that he would look good in a tie of this color, so she had spent a week making one for him. She was a little reluctant to give up her first gift. But there can be no construction without destruction. She couldn't be reluctant. The scissors moved once, twice, 3 or 4 times. She cut off her reluctance. There was a red 8-piece bedding set in the cupboard. If she left, would he ask the helpers to make the bed? Then, would he hug XN Man and roll on the bed sheets? The beautiful red lace was stacked on the edge of the red lotus leaves. The lace looked very thick, like a European palace. Her mother said that Chinese people married for auspicious reasons. Chinese people thought that red was more auspicious than white. Red bedding was a must. She made it. Every stitch and thread was the joy of being a bride. There were a few times when she smiled while stepping on the sewing machine. She used the small gauze scissors to pick out the ends of the threads and cut them clean. Including the wedding dress, she hung it up and wrapped it well. At this time, her scissors joined the scissors used to cut the fabric. She cut the needle and thread that she used her heart's blood and sweat to sew. She took a lot of wedding photos. She wanted to get married only once in her life. Other people only needed to take 4 or 5 sets of photos, but she tormented Zhuang Yichen 13 sets. But now, she took out those photo albums and threw them on the bed. After opening them, she used the scissors to cut off all the smiling faces. No one could tell who the people in the photos were. Welfare, Xinwu 799. Chapter 771. The first mate's prints and crystals hung on the wall. Everything that could be scratched had been scratched. Wedding photos made of crystal were difficult to make. She sat on the floor and placed the large photo she had taken from the wall on the floor. She held the scissors in a reverse grip and let the blade scratch the surface of the glass. Since it couldn't scratch the glass, she moved the large photo to the window and knocked it against the wall. It shattered instantly. She turned on Zhuang Yichen's computer and reformatted all their photos. Finally, he saw the mess in the room. Little Ya's hand, which was holding the scissors, was already bleeding from the abrasion. Her body was clearly not thin, but when she stood up, she was as thin as a piece of paper. She felt empty. She had made such a big scene, but none of the servants came to see her. No one came to see what she had destroyed. He definitely wouldn't feel bad. If he didn't care about her, would he care about these things? What was she still waiting for? The horn downstairs had already sounded twice. Li Yong's car was ready. She couldn't wait for anyone. The marriage certificate was placed under the jewelry box because she felt that it was very valuable. She took it out and held it in her hand. In a month's time, it would turn from red to green. She had been thinking about it for so long, but it was really worthless. She had made up her mind. She pulled the handle of her luggage and was about to leave, but the marriage certificate in her hand seemed to be burning. It burned Xiaoya's palm and fingertips. The burning sensation spread all the way to her heart. She sniffed and closed her eyes for a few seconds to calm down. Then she opened her handbag and took out her phone. She turned on the camera function and placed the marriage certificate on the bed to take a photo. She then opened the marriage certificate and took a photo of the contents inside. Xiaoya got into Li Yong's car without saying a word. Li Yong drove slowly. Young mistress, although young master is taking care of Miss Xian now, she's injured now. You should give in to her. Xiaoya was looking out of the window. At this moment, she was so angry that she turned around and raised her voice. Uncle Li, I've already been used badly by them. Now you're asking me to give in to that woman? They've known each other for many years. You can just say that they're brother-in-law and sister-in-law on the surface, but they're having an affair in secret. Young madam, which successful man doesn't have a woman outside? Xiaoya had too much unhappiness in her heart. She was so agitated by Li Yong that she vomited it all out. Do you have to bring the woman home? As you can see, he's all day now. All day she was so worried about Xian man that she didn't even trust the food sent by the servants. Everyone who participated in the cooking had to taste it for fear that someone would poison Xian man. Xian man, this damned woman, is almost catching up with the Empress. Young mistress, why don't we not get a divorce first? I'll send you back to your parents' home first. When Miss Xian recovers, young master's temper will also improve. Xiaoya felt that Li Yong was really capable. The first half of his sentence could make you feel a little better, but the second half could make you die of anger. It was all because of Xian man. No need. Let's go and get our marriage certificate changed. Let him take care of Xian man for the rest of his life. Cheating couple. Xiaoya gritted her teeth and cursed the last 3 words. She leaned back and closed her eyes. It was indeed easy for rich people to get things done. Zhuang Yichen didn't appear, but they were able to get their marriage certificate changed quickly. Xiaoya sat in Li Yong's car to send her back to her parents' home. Uncle Li, send me to Qingfeng Garden. I don't want to go back to my parents' home now. Now that I'm in such a state. She suddenly choked on her words. Xiaoya looked out of the window. She kept telling herself that she wasn't allowed to cry. She wasn't allowed to cry. If she cried again, she would change her name. But when she thought about going home and having to face her parents, she didn't know what to do. Her mother was a little snobbish, and her father was a little cowardly. But both of them loved her without exception. She didn't even dare to face Xia Qian now. Yi Er didn't dare to face her either. In what way was Yi Er better than her? Even if she was taller than her, her looks wouldn't be that much better. She was much more independent than Yi Er. Yi Er relied on men to get to where she was. But Qiu Xiaoya made so much money. What about Yi Er? Jiang Zhao kept Yi Er under strict control and didn't allow her to show her face in public. Opening a dance studio for a month might not even make as much money as she made in a day. Wasn't it just because she had Jiang Zhao doting on her? Was that a big deal? Was that a big deal just because she found a good man? In what way was Qian Qian better than her? Qian Qian caused trouble all day long. Wasn't it just because she saved Qin Fian when she was 12? Qin Fian pretended to be gay for her for more than 10 years. No matter how stupid she was, he always said that it was because she was innocent and wasn't as scheming as women these days. Wasn't it just because she had Qin Fian doting on her? Was that a big deal? If she found a good man, would all of them lead a better life than her? Xiaoya covered her mouth and sobbed, Uncle Li, I'm going back to Qingfeng Garden, okay, young mistress. Just call me. Miss Chiu like before, Leong said. Leong said, Miss Chiu, I'll get someone to clean up Qingfeng garden for you later. It's okay. I have nothing to do right now. I'll clean it myself. Xiaoya was a designer and was lazy as hell. She never wanted to do the cleaning herself. When she used to live in Qingfeng garden, her mother would clean it for her every week. Usually, there would be a part-time cleaner who would clean it every other day. Xiaoya knelt on the floor and wiped it over and over again. She even washed the bed sheets. She didn't move her luggage out and left it at the door. Under the night sky, she drew the thick curtains but pulled the gauze back. As she lay on the sofa in the living room, she thought about how many times he had showered early and waited for her. The moment she entered the house, he would pounce on her like a wolf. He was a clean freak and would throw her into the bathroom to shower. She had exchanged her body for this house. It was a duplex with 2 floors. Other than coming to sleep with her, he would never come here. Her hand was injured, but when she was cleaning today, she didn't wear gloves and didn't feel the pain. Now, she felt that the wound had turned white. Her immune system was really good. She didn't even have an infection or a fever. Why did Yi Er always end up in the hospital and make Jiang Zhao's heart ache? Everyone had different lives, right? Although Yi Er's father was dead and her mother had gone crazy, she still had a younger brother. Jiang Zhao loved her so much. Even when she called him after 10 at night, Jiang Zhao would yell at her. He was very protective of her. It was as if Yi Er was the only woman in the world who could get pregnant. Was it a big deal? She wanted to call Yi Er and tell her everything, but she realized that she couldn't bring herself to do so. She was pregnant. Why would she call her and tell her these things? Her crying made the pregnant woman's mood bad. When the time came, Jiang Zhao would snatch the phone and yell at her again. Xiaoya felt that she was going to explode from holding it in. It was as if there was a bomb in her body. However, she kept her mouth shut, covered her ears, closed her eyes, and held her breath. Her 7 orifices were tightly shut, and the bomb was kept in her body. It exploded until her organs were rotten. Lilia tossed and turned on the sofa as if she had gone mad. She grabbed her hair and bit her lips so hard that they started to bleed. When she cried out, the room that she had cleaned up started to echo. It was as if there was a vengeful spirit in the room. Anyone who heard it would shed tears. Zhuang Yichen. You scum. Scum. Ah. She cried for a long time before she stopped. She wanted to go out for a walk, but she couldn't stand up. Her whole body was weak. After thinking about it, she didn't dare to go out. Every time she walked along the corridor, she would think about where he had been in this building. A place filled with memories was really scary. It was as if there were ghosts everywhere. Xiaoya made one last call. Although she knew that it was very late, she still made a call. The call was a random ringtone. After a while, the person on the other end picked up. Boss Chiu, it's so late. Why are you calling me instead of discussing with your son-in-law how to have a baby? Xiaoya sighed. This was her mother. Mrs. Chiu, I want to tell you something. Huh? Mom. Mrs. Chiu sensed that something was wrong. Boss, did Zhuang Yichen bully you? Mom, I want to ask you. Have you always wanted me to marry a rich man? As long as he's rich, I can do anything. Xiaoya looked at the ceiling. Her tears fell again. Of course it's good to be rich. With money, you can do anything. Is being rich better than being happy? With money comes happiness. Don't you know that? Look at the life you're living now. So many people are jealous. Mom, I'm telling you. You're not allowed to make a fuss. You're not allowed to scold me. You're not allowed to tell anyone. Xiaoya sobbed. Mrs. Chiu was frightened. In Xiaoya's life, she rarely called her mother Mom. She usually called her Mrs. Chiu. What is it? Promise me. I promise you. Mom, I'm divorced. Zhuang Yichen gave me a check. It's a lot of money. Does being rich bring happiness? I'll give you the check. Mom, don't say anything. Let me finish. You don't want me to die for another man, right? Then you mustn't look for him. Don't look like you've been bullied when you go looking for him. Don't look like he owes me when you go looking for him, Mom, okay? He doesn't owe me anything. Mrs. Chiu was silent for a long time. Then she said firmly, I can't do it. Then go look for him. Then I'll jump off the building. Chiu, Xiaoya. Mom, leave me some dignity. I didn't tell anyone, not even Qianqian. The reason why I told you, Mom, is because I don't know whose arms I should lean into. Mom, I want to leave High City. Please help me. I can't stay here any longer. I can't stay here for another minute. I want to leave quietly. Xiaoya didn't know if this was the right thing to do. She only knew that she had already let go of all her dignity. She didn't want anyone to look for Zhuang Yichen again. She knew her mother well. If Kang Yun hadn't disappeared, her mother would have taken a knife and killed someone. She wasn't 20 years old. Not everyone would die for love. Welfare, Hongcha 866. The servant was shocked. Seeing Zhuang Yichen's bloodshot eyes, he was extremely terrifying. He immediately trembled in fear. Sir, Sheng, Miss Xian is injured. She can't sit up. Don't you know how to call me? Zhuang Yichen punched him again. He stood up and pulled the man up from the floor. Then, he threw him onto the coffee table. How dare you touch my woman? Who do you think you are? Sir, I just helped her up. Just helped her up. Zhuang Yichen's voice was filled with rage. His eyes were cruel, and his fist was fierce. Everyone who heard the news was shocked. They thought that Zhuang Yichen went to get syrup for Miss Xian and came back to see the servant helping Miss Xian up. He was furious. Everyone knew that Zhuang Yichen was a clean freak, but this was too much. In the past, Madame could not avoid any physical contact with the servants. This was simply too much of a possessiveness. Zhuang Yichen's villa was like a gossip center. Every day, there were more interesting comments than the entertainment newspapers. When Li Yong pulled Zhuang Yichen away, the servant who was badly beaten up was carried out for a doctor to check. Zhuang Yichen seemed to be still angry. He pushed Li Yong away and pulled out another man. He punched him. What are you doing here? Didn't you see that Xiaoman was coughing? Don't you know to find a doctor? The servants retreated in fright and swarmed to find the doctor. Li Yong felt that something was wrong. When the servant went downstairs, he quickly opened the door to the bedroom that the servant mentioned. Sir went to the bedroom to get syrup for Miss Xian. The moment he opened the door, he immediately closed it. Li Yong knew that it was over. This time, everyone in the house would not have a good life. Sure enough, Xian man's back was bleeding again. Zhuang Yichen picked up something and threw it at the people who came in. When Xian man coughed, whoever came in was beaten up. It was not even midnight. Only the doctor, Li Yong, and some other women were not beaten up. Zhuang Yichen said that if the doctor could not stop Xian man's bleeding and make her recover, he would not let him go. A week later, Xian man got better. She could get out of bed and go downstairs. Zhuang Yichen suggested to take her out for a walk. Li Yong hurriedly said, Young master, Miss Xian just recovered. It's not suitable, right? However, Zhuang Yichen hugged Xian man and said gently, Xiao man must be tired from staying in this house. Tomorrow, I'll take you to Clubhouse A. You must have not been there for a long time. I remember that you liked the cocktails there. Li Yong was very worried. He wanted to stop them, but there were spies everywhere in this house. If they went out today, wouldn't it be too rushed? Clubhouse A was a high-end clubhouse in Haicheng. It only accepted billionaires. Even the so-called bodyguards were not allowed to enter. If Li Yong followed, he could only stay in the sub-district. The main district was full of rich businessmen and high-ranking political officials. Li Yong obviously realized that Zhuang Yichen could no longer control his emotions. These few days, he was so angry that he probably did not want to send Zhuang Yichen to prison. Li Yong could usually understand what Zhuang Yichen wanted to do. Young master, Miss Xian's wound is still a little painful. She can't drink. Why don't we wait for a while? Zhuang Yichen ignored Li Yong. His eyes were dark. He lowered his head and touched Xian man's forehead. Xiao man, do you want to go out for a walk? Yichen, I really want to go out for a walk. I'm going crazy staying at home. Xian man naturally called Zhuang Yichen's villa home. She did not even notice the flash of hatred in Zhuang Yichen's eyes. Mama Chiu finally came back from her cousin's house. She wrapped the new household register, ID card, and bank card in a handkerchief. The handkerchief was a piece of cloth that Mama Chiu had taken from Xiaoya. It was not as fine as the machine that Xiaoya used, but the handkerchief was very delicate. It was like a small fan that was connected together. The handkerchief was red. Mama Chiu said that it was auspicious. Papa Chiu remained silent. Eldest sister, you're so fast. Yes. Mama Chiu replied in a choked voice. Old Chiu, do you think eldest sister will seek death this time? She won't. Papa Chiu stood at home. He wanted to take something, but he did not know what to take. She asked you to change her identity and go far away. It means that she wants to start a new life. Why would she seek death? You have to believe in eldest sister. But there's only 500,000 in this card. Is it enough for eldest sister? Mama Chiu held the handkerchief wrapped in the handkerchief. She raised it and wiped the tears from her eyes with the back of her hand. You said that she has been extravagant these past few years. Sometimes, a random outfit costs 500,000. But I haven't cared about her money all these years. Xiaoya asked Mama Chiu to withdraw the money from the family account and deposit it in her new name and account. There was no need for any financial transactions. She even went to see her aunt directly. She did not call in advance. She did not choose to board a plane with her ID card. Sai, don't worry about that. Eldest sister is good at cooking. She won't starve anywhere. Papa Chiu forced himself to comfort Mama Chiu. Actually, he was more frightened than Mama Chiu. He only had one biological daughter. No matter how close Xia Qian was to them, she was not their biological daughter. It was hard to explain. Mama Chiu was in charge of everything in the family. Papa Chiu felt even more uneasy when he saw Mama Chiu cry. By the time Xiaoya returned home, it was noon. Mama Chiu had already prepared lunch. At the table, Xiaoya ate whatever she liked. No one said a word. It was useless to say anything. Every time someone spoke, they would cry. After lunch, Mama Chiu cleared the dishes. When she came out, she saw Papa Chiu sitting on the sofa with a remote control in his hand. Xiaoya was sleeping on the sofa with her head resting on Papa Chiu's lap. Mrs. Chiu looked at her husband. Her face was wet, but she didn't cry. Tears flowed down her husband's cheeks to the bottom of the stool. Drops of tears fell on the shirt over his chest, wetting a large patch. Papa Chiu sat there and Xiaoya continued sleeping. She slept until the next day. Xiaoya did not take anything with her when she left. She only took $10,000 in cash, a new identity card, a household register, and even a change of clothes. She gave her bank card to Mama Chiu. You can spend the money however you want. I earned it all. But don't use your identities or transfer the money from this card to my new one. I'm sure I'll have a good life outside. Yes, yes. Is 3 years enough for you? You must come back to visit me in 3 years. Xiaoya nodded. She carried her backpack and hugged Mama Chio's head before she left. Mama, don't bully Papa anymore. Mama Chio slapped Xiaoya's butt and said, you little brat. You always favor your papa. I didn't bully him. He's the one who bullies me. Huh, okay. I'll let Mr. Chio bully you more in the future. The family of 3 laughed as they went downstairs. Xiaoya did not drive, so Papa Chio flagged down a taxi for her. Before they got into the car, Xiaoya said to Papa Chio, Mr. Chio, no man in this world can compare to your embrace. It's so comfortable to sleep in. Ask Mrs. Chio to massage your legs. I'll leave you and your husband alone. Haha. There were many famous people in Clubhouse A, but Zhuang Yichen was not in the mood to socialize. He stayed by Xian Man's side. Xian Man was wearing an elegant gown with a V-neck. It made her look elegant. Zhuang Yichen's eyes never left her. Everyone knew that Xian Man was Zhuang Yifeng's wife. But the two of them appeared in Clubhouse A in such a high-profile manner. While they were talking and laughing, there was a murderous vibe in another place. A powerful novel, Hongcha 866. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.